What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 11 SS. Chapter 241. Meet the red-haired, rainy Shiryu and follow him to death. The huge white-haired giant ape finally turned into a handsome black-haired young man and fell. Yang Hao came to Whitebeard, Red Hair and others. Yang Hao, I'm tired of hearing your news lately. As if feeling Yang Hao's gaze, the red-haired man looked over and then smiled. I have also admired your name for a long time, Red Hair. The subsequent conversation between Yang Hao and the Red Hair was quite pleasant. After all, he intended to get acquainted with the strongest conqueror's strong man. The current Yang Hao actually doesn't know how to dominate. With his current strength, he can already suppress the top powerhouses. After learning how to dominate, he will be able to completely distance himself from the top powerhouses. And if you want to say which one is stronger in Ba Tang, there is no doubt that it is definitely Red Hair. As the strongest conqueror's warrior, Ba Tang is definitely top-notch. Moreover, his conqueror's haki is powerful enough to carry out shocking attacks across several kilometers, and he can even use his conqueror's haki to predict the future. All signs indicate that if you want to learn Ba Tang, he is the best target. Of course, according to Yang Hao's usual practice, he must have tried many times in the simulation, or directly challenge the red hair to steal his lesson. However, if he could make friends in reality and let the other party teach him willingly, Yang Hao would naturally not mind. As for the red hair, he is also very interested in Yang Hao, a rising star. Dad, why don't we find a place and have a party? We have rescued Ace this time, and we are done. During the pleasant conversation, Marco suddenly suggested. Hearing this proposal, Whitebeard nodded. This time, Yang Hao, Hongfa and others helped him a lot. Although Yang Hao did it for a fee and Hongfa followed the trend, no matter what, they also received great help because of the two of them. It would be rude of them to let Yang Hao, Hongfa and others leave like this. So this time, even if the Whitebeard pirates also suffered casualties, he decided to hold a grand banquet to entertain Yang Hao, Hongfa and others. Yang Hao, Red Hair, please come and have a drink. Whitebeard immediately invited Yang Hao and Hongfa. Yang Hao and Hongfa naturally had no objection. Then Whitebeard turned to Luffy and said, by the way, there is also your boy, he is also very good, let's come to the banquet together. Ace heard this and immediately laughed. Haha, Dad, let me just say that my brother is very powerful. This time in the top battle, because of Yang Hao's existence, the most popular pirate was not Luffy. However, he persevered and risked his own life to finally save Ace, which was also very eye-catching. So Whitebeard also gave him a high look. Okay. Luffy naturally had no reason to refuse. Ever since, next, the Whitebeard pirates and others also quickly cleaned up the mess. One pirate ship after another began to sail over, preparing to take everyone away. When Yang Hao saw this, he didn't hesitate and immediately waved his hand. Young boys, come and gather and go back. Whitebeard, Red Hair and others all need to use the pirate ship to leave, but naturally he doesn't have to go to that trouble. A castle earring can take away all his men. After hearing Yang Hao's words, Katakuri, Jin and others naturally moved closer to him. At this time, Yang Hao also began to examine the injuries of Katakuri and others. What made Yang Hao nod secretly? This time, among the men he brought, no one died, only some were injured. Of course, this is normal. After all, what he brought was mid to high level combat power. With such fighting power, unless the top experts take full action, it will not be easy to kill them. As for Marine's top combat power, most of them are involved. Even Akainu is rarely able to attack someone with all his strength. Therefore, unlike the Whitebeard pirates who suffered heavy casualties, all members of Yang Hao's side are still alive. There were quite a few injured people, almost all of them were injured. But what surprised Yang Hao was that Katakuri was seriously injured. But considering his character of protecting his younger siblings, this is not surprising. At this moment, some non-staff personnel attracted everyone's attention. Buggy the Clown, Ivankov, Crocodile. These are all the foreign aides who followed Luffy to the battlefield above. Buggy and Redhead reminisce about old times. Crocodile, on the other hand, left with Daz bonus. Ivankov, on the other hand, followed Luffy and said mysteriously, Boy Luffy, you are going to see your father soon. By the way, there is another person you should also want to see. They coming this way. It turned out that Ivankov had received a call from the Revolutionary Army not long ago. Yeah, Luffy couldn't help but be stunned when he heard this. At the same time, Yang Hao was also stunned. After Katakuri, Jin and others gathered, he put it into the castle earrings, but at this moment, he also saw a strange non-staff member. This is a square-faced middle-aged man dressed in black, wearing a military cap and carrying a sword at his waist. It's none other than Shiryu of the Rain who refused Blackbeard's invitation and stayed on the battlefield at the top. Yang Hao was a little surprised when he saw Shiryu of Rain approaching him. Yang Hao didn't pay much attention to it just now, but now he also discovered that Blackbeard and others were gone. He probably saw that there was nothing he could do, so he left first. After all, Blackbeard's plan is to use Whitebeard's ability to seize the shock fruit, but in this situation, his success rate is already very low. If you are not careful, there may even be a tendency for the group to be wiped out. Blackbeard is also a smart man. After realizing this, he naturally retreated first. But, why didn't Shiryu of Rain leave with Blackbeard and the others? You know, he betrayed Marine. Without the protection of Blackbeard, his fate can be imagined. In fact, at this time, Sengoku and other senior officials were already secretly sizing up Shiryu aim. If it weren't for Shiryu of Rain being on Yang Hao's side, several Marine generals would have killed him long ago. At this time, it seemed to be answering Yang Hao's doubts. Yang Hao, let me introduce myself. My name is Shiryu Yu, the former warden of Impel Down City. Blackbeard invited me to join them before, and I agreed. I thought Blackbeard was the man I had been waiting for. But now I realize that the person I have been waiting for is not Blackbeard, but you. With you like this, you should be able to do great things. Please, accept me. Of course, you can also refuse, otherwise I will be killed by Marine here, but this is my choice and I will not regret it. After saying these words, Shiryu of the Rain knelt down on one knee and expressed his loyalty to Yang Hao. The movement here made Whitebeard and Red Hair look this way. Warring States and others were even more startled, and their expressions became gloomy. When Yang Hao heard this, he immediately understood. It seems that Blackbeard failed to capture the shock fruit, which disappointed Shiryu of the Rain. What he didn't expect was that Shiryu of Rain would turn to him. Thinking of this, the corners of Yang Hao's mouth raised in a curve. Interesting, then you can follow me. Chapter 242 Post-War Liquidation. Marinavando Battlefield. The pirate ships of the Whitebeard pirates and the pirate ships of the red-haired pirates left one after another. Yang Hao didn't fly either. After posing as his men, he took Whitebeard's pirate ship and left together. When the pirates were completely away, the Marines at the scene breathed a sigh of relief. Even the Warring States period was no exception. But then, Warring States frowned again. It was great when I was playing, but when I saw the losses afterwards, I felt sad. No, it should be said that I was unhappy when I was fighting, but when I saw the losses afterwards, I felt even more distressed. In this battle, they Marine dispatched a total of 100,000 people. The casualty rate reached almost 20%. This is already a very scary number. The medical expenses for treating the injured and the settlement expenses for the deceased make my hair tingle just thinking about the Warring States period. And this is the result of the red hair stopping halfway, otherwise, they will only suffer greater losses. It's the most painful thing to suffer such huge losses but not gain any results at all. Warring States' face was gloomy, and then he shook his head. No way. They had made as thorough arrangements as possible before the war. However, the situation on the battlefield and the information are ever changing, and no one can completely predict it. Who would have thought that such a proud Whitebeard would ask Yang Hao to be a foreign aid? Who would have thought that something would happen on the Impel City side, causing prisoners to come to the battlefield? Too many accidents have happened, and now it is normal for their Marine to fail. Thinking of this, Warring States immediately asked his deputy. Have you contacted Marine headquarters now? How is the situation there? At this time, Warring States couldn't help but think of the situation when Yang Hao disappeared from the battlefield for a period of time. Suddenly, a trace of uneasiness surged into Warring States' heart. With Yang Hao's combat power, even if he was hit by Kizaru, he would not be able to stay at Marine headquarters for that long. Warring States was originally unsure about this, but it was not until he fought against him that he became certain of it. If the opponent was kicked by Kizaru, it was very likely that nothing happened. How could he stay there for so long? Also, that thing like a wire network is also very suspicious. It seems to be Doflamingo. Thinking of Doflamingo following Yang Hao later, Warring States became even more uneasy. And next, it seems to be confirming the thoughts of the Warring States period. Hearing this, the deputy who had just returned from the phone call immediately reported with an ugly face. Sengoku Fleet Admiral, the Marine headquarters, was captured by Yang Hao. Lieutenant General Gion and Lieutenant General Kaki were both seriously injured. In addition, all the military stores were looted. What? Warring States suddenly became shocked. Even when Ace escaped from the execution platform, he didn't react that much. But now, this message made him scream in surprise regardless of his image. Something happened at Marine headquarters. And the extent of the accident was more serious than he imagined. Both Momosuke and the T-Dolphin were severely injured, and the military depot was looted. Doesn't this mean that all the money there was taken away? When Garp next to him heard this, he opened his mouth in shock. Although he is not in charge, he also knows that Marine headquarters has huge military expenditures. Whenever the other Marine branches need funds, or if someone receives a reward, they will draw it from here. As for prevention, it goes without saying. After all, the Marine headquarters has a Marine Admiral in charge all year round, and if things go wrong, the Marine Fleet Admiral from the Warring States period is also there. No one thinks there will be any problem if military expenditures are placed here. But now, it's been robbed. Yang Hao. Is that the B**********D? Garp was stunned. Sengoku's face was ashen and he couldn't help but glared at Garp fiercely. If Garp didn't paddle, maybe Yang Haodu might not have the opportunity to plunder. But now there is no point in complaining. The most important thing now is to get money as soon as possible and treat and appease the Marines first. Just thinking about this gave warring states a headache. If they have no money, they will definitely turn to the world government. But this time, the war was lost, and even if they applied, they probably wouldn't be able to apply for much money. This situation is really terrible. Warring states thought so, but worse news came one after another. Report to Warring States Fleet Admiral. We have contacted Deputy Warden Hannibal at Impel Down City. According to him, all Impel Down City has been lost. A large number of prisoners have escaped. Warden Magellan was seriously injured by Blackbeard's gang. There is a tendency to commit suicide and apologize. Hearing this, Warring States' vision suddenly went dark and he almost fainted to the ground. In fact, he had already anticipated the situation in Impel Down City. After all, when Kaido, Jinbei, Crocodile and other prisoners on the 6th level of Impel Down City appeared on the battlefield at the top, it already meant that Impel Down City was very likely to be lost. Magellan was so conscientious that this situation occurred, which also shows that something unexpected happened to him. But now, it just confirms the speculation of the Warring States period. But even though he had expected it, now that he actually heard it, Warring States still felt a little dizzy. Perhaps it was the sequelae of the battle with Yang Hao, or perhaps it was the successive defeats that made him, the Warring States Fleet Admiral, feel unbearable. For a moment, Warring States' expression became depressed. Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru next to him looked a little complicated when they saw this. Fortunately, Warring States quickly cheered up and made arrangements in an orderly manner. Treating the wounded, dealing with the dead, and rebuilding Malinvando. In addition, the Warring States period did not forget to ask the reward department to sort out the list of escaped prisoners and plan to offer rewards again. Soon, a call came from 5 elders. Warring States answered with a gloomy expression, and soon his eyes widened. The intention of the 5 elders on the other side was to conceal the news of the fall of Impel Down City. The reason is that the failure of the top battle has already damaged the face of their world government. If the Impel City is lost again, how will their face be saved? But if it is concealed and not reported, how many casualties will be caused by those pirates escaping to the outside world? As a result, the Warring States period, which had always obeyed the world government, also broke out. What a joke. The roar spread throughout Malinfando. It also reached a remote corner of Malinfando at this moment. It is worth mentioning. As the war ended, Hawkeye and the other 7 warlords of the sea also left one after another. But at this moment, there are still 2 7 warlords of the sea staying in Malinfando. None other than Doflamingo, and Moonlight Moria. But at this moment, Moonlight Moria looked at Doflamingo in front of him with a very ugly expression. Doflamingo, you be D, why are you attacking me? Is this what world government means? Moonlight Moria was shocked and angry, with confusion. After the war, he also planned to leave quietly, but he didn't expect that Doflamingo would suddenly come out and kill him. The most depressing thing is that he is not the opponent yet. But what makes Moonlight Moria strange is that he and Doflamingo have no enmity, so why would he suddenly attack her? Moonlight Moria couldn't help but think of Crocodile, who was expelled from the world government not long ago. Could it be that Doflamingo's behavior also means world government? He is planning a war, and the world government is going to liquidate him. But after hearing Moonlight Moria's words, Doflamingo's expression didn't look any better. How can those guys command me? If you don't want to die, just come with me. Doflamingo said angrily. If he came under the orders of the world government, he wouldn't be so upset. The key is that he came here this time under Yang Hao's order. We must capture Moonlight Moria. Again, now that he is on Yang Hao's side, Doflamingo can only go to the dark side. Moonlight Moria didn't get the answer and couldn't help staring at Doflamingo angrily. But soon, his expression changed. But a magical scene appeared. Moonlight Moria suddenly and mysteriously disappeared in front of Doflamingo. Seeing this, Doflamingo murmured, did he really disappear? That guy also guessed it. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew away in a certain direction. Chapter 243 Banquet, Idea of Stimulants, Brothers Gathering. A few days later, Sphinx Island. This is Whitebeard's territory, and it is also Whitebeard's current hometown. Many pirate ships arrived here after several days of sailing. On the coast, there were actually a large number of people lined up to welcome him. Welcome home, Whitebeard. Members of the Whitebeard Pirates, thank you for your hard work. That's great, Marine was beaten to a pulp by you guys. Seeing this, the red-haired man couldn't help but smile and said, Whitebeard, it seems you are very popular. Marco immediately smiled and said, that's for sure, our dad is not an ordinary pirate, he is the patron saint here. Whitebeard immediately rolled his eyes at Marco. Marco, okay, hurry up and get people ready. When Marco heard this, he immediately took some people and went down to prepare for the banquet. His appearance immediately caused bursts of cheers. Luffy couldn't help but smile when he saw this scene. Yang Hao thought of his own territory. In fact, in the New World, the boundaries between marine and pirates are actually very blurred. In the territory of the Four Emperors, the pirates of the Four Emperors group actually also serve as marines. Instead, Marine became a plunderer, even killing an entire island in 3 years. However, each Four Emperors rules in a different way. White beards and red hair are both benevolent and righteous practices. Kaido and Big Mom, on the other hand, are squeezing. Therefore, the current welcoming situation on Sphinx Island is absolutely impossible to appear in Wano country and Wangwo country. So, as the new ruler, should he change this situation? Should we follow the old methods or learn from the white beards and red hairs? Yang Hao thought for a while and suppressed the idea. Things like people's hearts and minds are not important to him for the time being. Let's leave it to his men to deal with it later. He just needs to grasp the general direction. And at present, he is not suitable to learn from the white-bearded and red-haired people. After all, it will not be easy to collect protection fees from those residents. On a more serious note, it would be ridiculous to spend all the money like Whitebeard and become a pauper. Next, Yang Hao, Hongfa and others were quickly invited by Whitebeard to the magnificent building on the island. Although Whitebeard is a pauper, his residence is still relatively grand. At this time, the building seemed to be neatly decorated with lanterns and colors, making it look like a grand banquet. Come on, I really want to thank you this time. Let's go. Whitebeard first toasted to Yang Hao and Hongfa. Marco, Ace, Josie, Bist and other captains also raised their glasses. Yang Hao and Hongfa immediately raised their glasses and drank with Bybert and others. Katakuri, Jin and others, as well as Ben Beckman and others from the red-haired group, were also there to accompany them. After thanking Yang Hao and Red Hair, Whitebeard thanked Jinbei, Ivankov, Luffy and other foreign aides one by one. The wine has passed 3 rounds, and the food has passed the 5 flavors. The atmosphere at the banquet gradually became lively. Yang Hao was a little drunk, and even considered whether to have a fight after returning to Wano country. After all, Katakuri and others followed him and put in a lot of effort. At this moment, Yang Hao suddenly noticed Ivankov and immediately walked over with a bright look on his face. Hello, Ivankov, my name is Yang Hao. A sudden greeting drew Ivankov's attention back. He was also a partygoer, so he couldn't help but be immersed in it just now, but when he heard Yang Hao's voice, he immediately became excited. No way. If Yang Hao, who killed Big Mom before, became a 4 emperors, there was still some controversy, then after the battle of the war, Yang Hao, a 4 emperors, is definitely stable. Even judging from his performance, it is no exaggeration to say that he is the strongest among the 4 emperors. After all, no matter how you look at it, his performance is much more powerful than Whitebeard. Ivankov never expected that such a being would take the initiative to talk to him. Hello, I'm Ivankov, just call me Shaowen. Ivankov was a little flattered. Yang Hao smiled, sat next to Ivankov, and started talking to him. With his status and identity, there is no need to deliberately make friends with a strong man of Ivankov's level. Ivankov's strength is not weak, but at best, he is only at the level of Deputy Emperor. But his abilities are very interesting, especially those exciting hormones. If it could be made into a potion, the effect would actually be no worse than the blue wave ball. No, in other words, the effect of excitable hormones is better than the blue wave ball. It is worth mentioning that in this top battle, apart from Yang Hao's brilliant performance. In fact, Lan Bocho also left a deep impression on everyone. Although it is not specifically described, Jin, Quinn, Jack and others also used blue wave balls and defeated powerful enemies many times. And this is also the reason why Jin and others were much less injured than Katakuri and others. Originally, as animals, they were thick-skinned, and even more so after the blessing of the blue wave ball. However, the blue wave ball has a limitation after all, that is, it can only be used on those with animal-type fruit abilities. But Ivankov's excited hormones are different. Anyone can use it. To a certain extent, the effect is greater than the blue wave ball. And it seems that it can be paired with the blue wave ball to further enhance the explosive power. So Yang Hao is still quite interested. If the friendship develops, let Ivankov come to Wano and do some research together. Maybe he can get something like stimulants that can enhance the combat power of everyone, including him. As for Yang Hao's show of goodwill, Ivankov was naturally very surprised. After all, their revolutionary army also needs allies, especially powerful allies. As a rising star among pirates, Yang Hao is definitely a very powerful ally. As a result, within a moment, the two of them started talking happily. Yang Hao has even made an agreement with Ivankov to invite him to Wazi country as a guest. Next, Yang Hao wanted to say something, but Ivankov suddenly stood up with joy. Dragon. Yang Hao was startled and looked toward the exit. At the same time, Whitebeard, Red Hair and others also looked over there if they sensed it. A group of figures in black robes suddenly appeared there. The leader, with a tattooed face exposed under his hood, is none other than the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon. Seeing the appearance of the dragon, both the white-bearded and red-haired people's expressions froze. Dragon looked at the scene with a smile on his face, and was about to say something, but at this moment, a black-robed figure behind him suddenly passed over Dragon and walked straight towards Ace and Luffy, who were sitting together. When he came to stand in front of Ace and Luffy, the figure seemed a little nervous. Ace and Luffy were startled, a little confused, but they felt that this figure was inexplicably familiar. Who are you? Just when Ace asked, the figure suddenly lifted his black robe, revealing a handsome face with scars. That familiar outline made Ace and Luffy's pupils shrink, and they were stunned for a moment. Long time no see, Ace, Luffy. Sabo smiled brightly. Chapter 244, filling the regrets of sea fans, Blackbeard's crisis. Sabo. Luffy burst into tears instantly. Ace's eyes also became moist. Although they have grown up, they will never forget that familiar silhouette. This is their brother, Sabo. But both of them were a little unbelievable. Isn't Sabo dead? This meeting actually appeared in front of them alive. Luffy. Ace, I'm late. Looking at the bandages on Luffy and Ace, Sabo's eyes were also wet and he looked guilty. He should have arrived earlier, before the war broke out. In a war like that, he should stand by the two of them. No, he should have thought of Luffy and Ace earlier. Obviously both of them are very famous. Why couldn't he remember it before? Sob. After being stunned, Luffy finally reacted, jumped up, and hugged Sabo. Ace also stood up and grabbed Sabo's shoulders very hard. It seemed as if he would disappear as soon as he let go. Sabo also hugged Luffy and also held Ace's shoulders. At this moment, the brothers reunited. The white beards, red hair, and even dragons all around looked at this scene in astonishment. None of them knew the brotherly relationship between the three. Here at Whitebeard, we have only heard that Ace has a younger brother, but not that there are other brothers. As for the red hair, it was nothing, but Long was the most surprised. He knew that Sabo had lost his memory, but he never thought that Sabo and his son were brothers. And Ace, this is One Piece Roger's son. So, my son actually has two powerful brothers. The rest of the people, who knew the identities of the three people, were all amazed. What kind of brother is this? One is the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, the other is the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, and the other is the son of Ryu and the grandson of marine hero Garp. This background is simply amazing. At this time, Yang Hao's eyes could not help but fall on the three brothers. Seeing this reunion scene, he suddenly drank a glass of wine, and his smile gradually appeared. For a sea fan, this situation can be regarded as making up for regrets. In fact, Yang Hao did not deliberately help the three Luffy brothers reunite. However, his existence is indeed a great contribution. Otherwise, without him as a variable, this pirate world would still be executed like the original work. It was precisely because of his variable that both Ace and Whitebeard survived the war. The three Luffy brothers were also reunited. To a certain extent, Yang Hao can be regarded as a person of immeasurable merit. Looking at it this way, as a pirate, I'm not so bad. Yang Hao smiled with emotion and picked up the wine glass again. And when Yang Hao was having a banquet, the Blackbeard pirates are once again in crisis. In a few days, they also escaped from Malinfando. When they came to an island, they plundered and held a banquet. After all, although he escaped, to a certain extent, he still survived. Especially for the King of Evil, Zon Yu Hunter and others. So there's nothing wrong with celebrating. And Blackbeard is also happy to have dinner with the King of Evil and others to enhance their relationship. But at the banquet, the problem soon became apparent. The situation that Blackbeard was worried about happened. Badgers and others were naturally very respectful to Blackbeard, and they would not refuse Blackbeard's invitation to drink. The King of Evil, Zon Yu Hunter, Dajiu, and even the most honest-looking battleship were all a little indifferent to Blackbeard, and even seemed to be indifferent. Many times, after Blackbeard finished a glass of wine, the King of Evil and others would only take a small sip. Even if it was a big drink that he obviously liked to drink, he would just take a sip. Badgers couldn't help it anymore and suddenly started shooting. Bang. Hey, let me tell you, that's enough. Captain Teach has given you so much face, you should at least respond to him. I can't finish a glass of wine, what does that mean? The veins on Badger's forehead throbbed, and the muscles in his arms bulged. As Blackbeard's first horse, he is very loyal to Blackbeard. Whenever something happens, he is the first to rush into battle. This time is no exception. Seeing that the attitudes of these people were getting worse and worse, he immediately took action. Fan Oka, Shinigami Poison Q and others also looked a little ugly. Naturally, they also noticed the perfunctory and arrogant attitude of the evil king and others. Hey, kid, what are you yelling at? In what capacity are you talking about us? You know, we haven't clearly joined the Blackbeard pirates yet. As a female, Xuanyu Hunter retorted unceremoniously. You. Badgers was furious. As a result, the King of Evil also smiled and said, yes, Zon Yu is right. It seems that we didn't explicitly want to join your Blackbeard pirates, right? I came with you just to kill Whitebeard. There is no doubt that the evil king and Zon Yu Hunter are cheating a bit. All because the condition given by Blackbeard was to let the King of Evil and others join them to cause trouble in Malinfando and kill Whitebeard. It's just that now, Whitebeard has not been killed, so the King of Evil and others do not admit their guilt. Of course, the most critical thing is that Blackbeard did not capture the power of the shock fruit. Therefore, these people are not so afraid of Blackbeard. When Blackbeard saw this, he was unusually calm. In fact, he had a premonition of such a situation when Shiryu refused to leave with him in rain. I just didn't expect it to appear so soon. And now, he doesn't dare to fall out with the evil king and others. First of all, these guys are indeed very powerful partners, and it is difficult to find them anywhere. Secondly, and most importantly, if he really fell out with the King of Evil and others, he had no confidence that he could win against the King of Evil and others. If there is a conflict, even if he has the ability of the dark fruit, the winning rate is only 50-50. In view of this, Blackbeard quickly came out of Yamato Field. Okay, badgers, don't be angry. The evil king and the others didn't do it on purpose. They probably stayed in Impel Down for too long and are not used to this kind of scene. Captain. Badgers wanted to speak, and Blackbeard quickly gave him a look. Understanding what Blackbeard meant, Badgers sat down again with confidence. The evil king and others didn't care at all. After coming out of Impel City, they must have a good place to go. Blackbeard couldn't capture the shock fruit, and his strength couldn't reach the top level, so naturally he couldn't meet their requirements. So their attitude towards Blackbeard will naturally not be much better. Unless Blackbeard can obtain a powerful fruit comparable to the shock fruit, but how can such a fruit be so easy to obtain? After the banquet, the King of Evil and others left one after another. At this time, Blackbeard's face turned ferocious. He is also very aware of his situation. If he cannot obtain the powerful fruit in a short period of time, I am afraid that the King of Evil and others will leave him. This is not the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous thing is that he provoked the Whitebeard pirates, and it is very likely that he will be hunted down and liquidated by the Whitebeard pirates later. How could he survive this ultimate crisis without the help of the evil king and others? Damn it. Blackbeard's face became extremely ugly. If I had known this, I would have taken action when we were on the 6th floor of the city. After all, there are still many powerful fruits among the people on the 6th level. In fact, the fruit abilities of the evil king and the battleship are pretty good. But now that we are attacking them, paper painting is getting worse. What to do? Blackbeard frowned. But suddenly, a violent movement came from outside. Chapter 245 Destroyer of the World. Is it necessary for Momo to do it secretly? A violent movement suddenly came from outside. Blackbeard's thoughts were interrupted and he looked outside. What's wrong? He frowned. Soon, Badgers came over and reported. Captain Teach, there is an attack outside. What? Blackbeard was startled, a little stunned. Then he reacted and asked nervously, Marine. Or, the Whitebeard pirates. At present, he cannot afford to offend these two forces. As for Marine, if he's going to cause trouble for him, it's probably General Marine. After all, to a certain extent, he stabbed Marine in the back during this top battle. Marine had every reason to trouble him. Not to mention that he had several prisoners from the 6th level of Impel Down with him. As for the Whitebeard pirates, that goes without saying. Fortunately, it is neither of these. Badgers replied. It's not Marine, it's not the Whitebeard pirates, it's other pirates. Just hearing this, Blackbeard was relieved and a little surprised. Pirate, aren't they pirates? And they just occupied this place, and now they are being robbed by pirates. There was a strange look on Blackbeard's face. But at this moment, there was a loud bang. Blackbeard was shocked to see the building he was in exploded into pieces. The roof collapsed and the ground cracked. Before Blackbeard could react, he and Badgers were buried in the ruins. Among the ruins, Blackbeard's screams were heard. Double the pain is no joke. Even a little pain will make Blackbeard scream. But soon, Blackbeard's screams turned into angry sounds. Damn, dark hole. A large amount of black material suddenly poured out from the ruins. At first, they only appeared from cracks here and there, but soon they filled the surrounding area. The next second, the ruins sank, and Blackbeard's somewhat embarrassed figure fell out again. At this moment, Badgers also reacted, knocked away the rocks above his head, and stood up. Captain Teach, are you okay? Blackbeard's face was as dark as water. Although he was fine, such an encounter made his already unhappy mood even worse. Let's go and take a look outside. Blackbeard took the lead and walked outside. He wanted to see which blind guy dared to attack them. Isn't this a move on the tiger's head? With their current strength, seriously, even the 4 Emperors group can give them a tough blow, and there are pirates who dare to attack them. Blackbeard laughed angrily. Just when he went outside, Blackbeard's expression quickly became serious. Naturally, there are Fan Oka and others outside. In addition, there is also the King of Evil and others. But at this moment, both Fan Oka and the others, as well as the Evil King and the others, looked like they were facing a formidable enemy. Among them, the huge battleship has turned into a giant comparable to a castle, and is ready for battle. Seeing such a formation, Blackbeard was stunned. Who is the invading enemy that allows everyone to treat him like this? Immediately afterwards, before Blackbeard had time to ask, a huge dark sphere suddenly shot from a distance. What? After Blackbeard suffered a loss just now, he had already activated his domineering power. So at this moment, he captured the arrival of the huge sphere. This is an attack from a powerful aura. But before he could think about it, the huge dark sphere began to expand and explode the moment it hit the ground. Boom. There was another loud noise. Blackbeard's pupils shrank and he reacted. This is a bomb. But this bomb is too big. Just like a house. The power of a bomb of this size after it explodes can be imagined. At this moment, Blackbeard was shocked to see the huge explosion power sweeping across like a hurricane. Dark cave path. Blackbeard did not dare to neglect, and quickly released a large amount of dark matter, forming a wall of darkness in front of him. Terrifying explosion waves swept over, causing the wall of darkness to shake violently. But the wall of darkness was unusually tough, and in the end it swallowed up all the explosion waves. Blackbeard breathed a sigh of relief and then looked at everyone. Badgers had his protection and was safe and sound. Fan Oka and others, on the other hand, were very anxious and seemed to be injured. The worst thing was the huge battleship. After it turned into a giant, it became a target. At this time, its head was bleeding and its huge body was covered with dust and blood. Because of its huge size, it looked extremely terrifying. As for the King of Evil and others, nothing seems to have happened. Who is that? I'm already dozing off. Could someone give me a pillow? However, this move seemed to anger the evil king, and a small mountain-like head formed out of thin air and roared. When he thought of this, Blackbeard cracked his mouth and smiled, his eyes filled with an extremely dangerous light. Thinking of this, Blackbeard suddenly felt something in his heart. But this guy is obviously not simple. He didn't even know where the weapons came from, and he destroyed this place in just a few strokes. Blackbeard was stunned when he heard this. Standing hundreds of meters away, only a silhouette was revealed. His fruit ability seems to be able to increase the speed and volume of objects. In Blackbeard's opinion, Van Oka, who has a telescope, should know the identity of the visitor. That's right, it's Berndee Wald. However, from that outline, Blackbeard could vaguely see something familiar. Although it looks broken and messy, it is nothing compared to the entire island. Saying this, Badger's face became extremely solemn, even a little frightened. World Destroyer, Berndee Wald, and DN, Ja Momo, seems to be good too. Sure enough, in Impel Down City at that time, not many people got out alive. After some elimination, Blackbeard quickly thought of something, let alone a last name. Badger shook his head. The distance is too far, I can't see clearly. In addition to Kaido and the Evil King and others they brought with them, there were only a few descendants of the devil. Do you know who it is? Blackbeard thought about it and soon remembered who it was. Hole. What on earth do you want to do? He also erected a huge wall to block the impact of the explosion. Blackbeard's face darkened, he hesitated, and suddenly moved to Fan Oka through the dark acupoint. This guy's Momo fruit ability seems to be not much inferior to Whitebeard's shock fruit ability. Blackbeard turned to Badgers and asked. When Fan Oka heard this, he immediately said with an ugly face, Captain, it's that guy, you've seen him before. He was on the 6th floor of the Impel Down City. He seemed to be called Berndee or something. Fan Oka, who is the person who attacked us? Especially the King of Evil, who has surprisingly used the island fruit ability to merge with the island. The other party turned out to be someone from the 6th floor of Impel City. Is he the guy who claims to have the ability to destroy the entire world? At this time, Blackbeard finally saw the incoming enemy clearly. Chapter 246 The Strongest Four Emperors Group. The Beast Pirates Group is officially established. Whitebeard's banquet lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. On the 4th day, Yang Hao accepted the reward of 5 billion belly, looked through the mirror fruit, and quickly returned to the country of Wano. Come out. After returning to Ghost Island, he immediately released the men in the castle earrings. Waves of powerful auras swept across. Jin, Quinn, Jack, Fozifer, Katakuri and others all filed out. Baby 5, Pudding and others also came out one after another. In addition, there is also Shiryu of Rain, an active follower. Yang Hao smiled and looked at the people who exuded the aura of strong men. Before, he didn't completely rule the Beast Pirates. But now, there is no doubt that he is already the new governor of the Beast Pirates, worthy of the name. Kaido has become a thing of the past. Yang Hao's current lineup of subordinates, in general, includes the leaders of the Big Mom Pirates, plus the leaders of the Beast Pirates, as well as Shiryu of Rain, Baby 5, and even Odin's subordinates. There are so many middle and upper class people, including powerful people at the level of Emperor and Deputy. Judging from the lineup, he is definitely the strongest four Emperors group now, right? Thinking of this, Yang Hao looked at everyone with a smile. Haha, everyone, I am here to announce something to you. From now on, we will not be the Beast's Pirates, nor the Big Mom Pirates, but the Beast's Pirates. From now on, we will be members of a pirate group. I hope that everyone will support each other, help each other, and let go of the previous prejudices and hostility. After Yang Hao finished speaking, the whole place fell into silence. This was an idea he had before, but he only proposed it now. If you are successful, you can help the world. If you are poor, you can only take care of yourself. Yang Hao before was not very strong and could only protect himself. But now, as he becomes stronger, and even becomes a top powerhouse, he naturally has the confidence to protect one side and help the world at the same time. Of course, the ultimate goal is for yourself. More subordinates mean more people making money for him. As for why he didn't inherit the beast pirates, it was naturally because Yang Hao had the ambition to surpass Kaido. Even though he was stronger than Kaido, he finally fell into Nika's hands. But Yang Hao is different. Even if the enemy is Nika or the world government who is in deeper water, he will not admit defeat. He will surpass them all. Therefore, the pirate group he founded is the more domineering beasts pirate group. Everyone was shocked when they heard Yang Hao's words. Shiryu of the Rain, Baby 5, and Sanjin like Nako Viper and Anuarashi are okay. But Katakuri, Jin, Quinn and other pirates all had complicated expressions. Especially Jin. There is no doubt that Yang Hao is planning to set up his own business and become completely independent. Of course, this is also expected. So a confused look flashed across Jin's face, and he quickly returned to normal. Fuzifu and others all cheered loudly. Captain, you should have formed a pirate group long ago. Yes, with your ability, you shouldn't be inferior to others. Captain, I support it with both hands and feet, and I will firmly follow you. As for Katakuri and others, although their reaction was not strong, they accepted this reality. In fact, following Yang Hao is the best choice for them. After all, the ant in the past has offended many people. After she was killed, if it hadn't been for Yang Hao, many people would have made trouble for them. With Katakuri's strength, he can protect one, but he can't protect them all. Only by following Yang Hao can they get protection. Of course, now it seems that this choice is also a good one. At least Yang Hao is not a tyrant, and his usual personality is still very gentle. She will not be like the ant who loses control and kills people from time to time, even her children. Overall, this is a wise man. As for Fuzfu, Quinn and others, they naturally feel the same way. Following Kaido, their situation is better than Katakuri and others following Big Mom. But in reality, it's not much better. Kaido also beats or scolds his subordinates, even his biological daughter is no exception. Just be nice to Jin. But now, even if Jindu betrays him, Kaido cannot be a wise master. Judging from Yang Hao's previous performance in the Ding Shang War, this man is certainly more worthy of their following. In addition, Yang Hao's domineering attitude also deeply shocked them. He now formed a pirate group. He did not follow Kaido's beasts pirates, nor did he take his own name. Instead, he chose 10,000 beasts. From this point, they can vaguely feel Yang Hao's amazing courage to swallow the world. Okay, let's have a banquet. Hiyori, please make arrangements. Everyone must participate when the time comes, and I will reward you based on your merits. At this time, Kazuki Hiyori had received the message and came over dressed in fine clothes to greet Yang Hao. He even brought a group of attendants to loudly congratulate Yang Hao on his triumphant return. Such a ceremony also brought a smile to Yang Hao's lips, and he immediately asked Hiyori to arrange the banquet. In addition, he also had the idea of rewarding everyone. It is worth mentioning that this time, Yang Hao gained really much. Not only did he snatch tens of billions of Baileys from Marine headquarters, he also harvested 5 billion Baileys from Whitebeard. This trip is worth more than 10 billion. Even he couldn't imagine how much such an amount of money would improve his strength when used in simulations. Of course, no matter how much money you have, it is not enough to burn. However, Yang Hao didn't mind taking part of it to reward Katakuri and others. Now that a force has been officially established, he cannot blindly intimidate everyone. There are still benefits. Otherwise, if things go on like this, who will be willing to serve? And for the money spent, Katakuri and others will definitely earn back 10 times, or even 100 times, for him when the time comes. Soon, the banquet started, and the news of the official establishment of the 10,000 Beasts Pirates began to spread from Wano country. Marine headquarters. That guy from the Beast Pirates is indeed a greater threat than Kaido. When the Warring States period heard this news, they couldn't help but feel sinking. Originally, Kaido and the Beast Pirates split, and they should be happy. But now, Kaido is not dead yet, and the more troublesome Yang Hao has risen. This is another big bad news for Marine. The Whitebeard Pirates and the red-haired pirates also quickly received the message. The Beast Pirates, that guy is really amazing. Whitebeard sighed. The red-haired man smiled at Ben Beckman and others. Everyone, we will have another powerful enemy in the future. This news was quickly learned by Big News Morgans. Originally, the president of the World News Agency was very excited because of the content of the war. Now that I got the news, I made a sudden decision to list Yang Hao as the core figure in the top war. Next, not only will there be a report on the war situation in Dingshang, but also an exclusive interview report with Yang Hao. Morgans firmly believes that this man who founded the most powerful four emperors group in history will definitely make their traffic explode. Chapter 247 In the Name of God, Ape God Yang Hao. Just like Big News Morgans thought. Reports of the war broke out. Reports about Yang Hao also broke. President. The Sabayati Islands require more newspapers immediately. President. The demand for newspapers in Gaia is also in short supply. It's so popular that many pirates in New World have taken the initiative to find our news bird to buy it. After hearing the good news from various branches, Morgans took a sip of red wine with ease. He enjoys this kind of traffic explosion and the feeling of attracting worldwide attention. The only thing that made him a little unhappy was that he was threatened by Yang Hao before the news was released. Originally, Morgans and Auntie were good friends and had a good relationship. After Auntie's death, Yang Hao actually used this opportunity to contact him and asked him to maintain this relationship and inform him in advance of any news in the future. Forget it. Who knew that the other party would actually change his nickname in this news? The original nickname assigned to Yang Hao by Morgans was the Ape King. In Morgan's opinion, this is interesting enough. This almost shows Yang Hao's identity as the new four emperors. It is worth mentioning. The status of the four emperors, unlike the seven warlords of the sea, does not require recognition by the marine, world government. Four emperors refers to the emperors of the sea. Whoever has the power to frighten the heroes is the emperor of the sea. Because there were four emperors of the sea before, they were collectively called the four emperors. Originally, Yang Hao's rise should have been called the fifth emperor. But the ant happened to die, so he took advantage of the opportunity to fill in. From the current situation, the situation of four emperors remains unchanged. Although Kaido lost his power, no one dared to question his strength. And with his strength, it is not a problem to gather a powerful force. In general, the Emperor of the Sea needs the recognition of the world. Although Yang Hao is very famous, his nickname still has a boosting effect. But what he never expected was that Yang Hao got the message from nowhere. He actually asked him to change his nickname in advance. Of course, that's okay. If you are dissatisfied with the Ape King, then the Fierce Emperor, or the original Fierce Disaster, the Fierce Ape. What Morgans didn't expect was that Yang Hao's nickname turned out to be Ape God. Muttering to himself, Morgan's face turned dark. In this world ruled by world government, the word God is very sensitive. Especially a being like Yang Hao, who claims to be a god, is a great provocation to the world government. Of course, the existence of the Emperor of the Sea is itself a great provocation to the world government. From this point of view, Yang Hao has a mentality of having too many debts to burden himself. President, there's a call from world government. At this moment, a distinctive voice sounded. Morgan suddenly had a dark look on his face when he heard this. This situation did not surprise him. If Yang Haoding is given such a nickname, the world government will definitely cause trouble for him. But Morgans had already thought about it, so he just said it was Yang Hao who threatened him. It's impossible for the world government to really cause trouble for him anyway. Ape God. Is Morgans crazy, or does Yang Hao mean this? It's like riding a horse, but it feels cool. Why didn't Laozi give him the nickname of a beast god or a dragon god at that time? Ooh Linlin, how could you die so easily? That kid Yang Hao has not only swallowed up your pirate group, but he has also swallowed up my pirate group. He is such an ambitious guy. Linlin, it's all your fault for being too weak. New World, Dressrosa. A rough and burly man sat carelessly on a seat in the palace, drinking and shouting wildly. Sometimes he is upset, sometimes he laughs, and sometimes he cries. Crazy. It's none other than Kaido. And at this moment, Doflamingo, on the other hand, stood aside with some restraint. There was a hint of anger in his eyes, but he dared not speak out. Why does Kaido appear here? To be honest, Doflamingo doesn't know either. He had previously followed Yang Hao's instructions to deal with Moonlight Moria. With Yang Hao's guidance, this time, Moonlight Moria did not escape, but was captured alive by him. But after catching Moonlight Moria, Doflamingo hadn't waited for Yang Hao to return his life. He received a contact from Torrebel, saying that Kaido had arrived in Dressrosa. Since he cared about the cadres, he naturally rushed back as soon as possible. Back here, the good news is that Torrebel and others are fine. The bad news is that Kaido seems to be relying on the trend not to follow here. This situation naturally made Doflamingo's heart sink. It is worth mentioning that the reason why he obeyed Yang Hao was not only worried about his own life, but also worried about the cadres. After all, with Yang Hao's current strength, if he attacks them, they will have almost no power to resist. But what Doflamingo never expected was that while he was still guarding Yang Hao, his home was stolen by Kaido first. At this moment, Doflamingo felt helpless. While fighting the war, he already had a premonition that a new era would come. But now it seems that no matter in the old or new era, strength is the most important thing. Once you reach the level of a top powerhouse, you can do whatever you want. Thinking of this, Doflamingo clenched his fist tightly. Traces of blood seeped out slowly. At this time, Kaido ignored Doflamingo, but looked at the huge figure in the corner. Moonlight Moria, long time no see. Hearing the call, Moonlight Moria, who was originally a little depressed, suddenly became furious. Kaido, you be *************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************
You were the one who asked Doflamingo to capture me.
You damn B asterisk 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 D, why weren't you beaten to death by Yang Hao? Hearing this, Kaido was startled and his expression turned strange. Doflamingo next to him was in a bad mood and had no intention of explaining. Holy place. In the magnificent hall, 5 majestic old men were sitting or standing. On the table in front of them were 2 recent news reports. Needless to say, the identities of these 5 people are none other than the 5 elders. The official leader of the world government. A touch. Suddenly, one of the 5 elders slapped the table and roared angrily. It's a total loss of face. Marine has suffered a huge defeat in the war, so why does that B asterisk 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 D Morgan still report it so loudly? And what's going on with Yang Hao? Does he really want to die? He robbed the Marine headquarters and now he wants to provoke the world government. The rest of the 5 elders all had gloomy expressions. The recent events have really made them lose face, and even the dominance of the world government seems to be shaking. Such a situation is undoubtedly a dereliction of duty on their part. However, in the end, the 5 elders unanimously decided to put all the blame on the Marine Fleet Admiral of the Warring States period. But what happened next was something the 5 elders didn't expect. When they contacted Marine headquarters, they received a major message. What? Warring States resigned. The 5 elders looked at each other. Chapter 248 Yang Hao does not accept fatalism. Kurozumi's congratulations. The country of peace. A lively banquet is going on. This banquet was not only held on Ghost Island, but also in the Flower City, Rabbit Bowl, Julie and other places at the same time. In other words, this is a grand banquet celebrated by the whole country. Even though Yang Hao was in a good mood, he was not stingy. However, he also took the opportunity to win over people's hearts and take this opportunity to change Kaido's cruel rule of Wano. Hungry will no longer happen in Wano country. Yang Hao specially sent Kazuki Hiyori to send a large amount of food across the country. Such a situation is naturally to prepare for the subsequent founding of the country. Yes, Yang Hao plans to found the country of Wano. It is worth mentioning that in Wano, the topic of the founding of the country is still relatively sensitive. In order to better control the people, Kaido closed the country to himself. The biggest failure of Kazuki Oden is actually this. I don't know where he heard the statement. It was said that the country of Wano had not yet been founded. This also resulted in the news of Wano being unable to spread. Whitebeard and Roger, who were friends with him, knew nothing about his plight. This is what is called playing a good hand badly. In the end, Oden also met a disastrous end, which seemed tragic but was actually stupid. If Yang Hao also believed in fatalism or something, he would probably follow Oden's old path and leave Kaido behind and let Luffy, the son of destiny, defeat him. The founding of the country, a great deed that gained people's hearts, was also left to Momonosuke. But Yang Hao only felt funny for a while. Are you stupid or not? Are you mean? Why should you leave something to others to do when you can obviously do it yourself? Fatalism and bloodline theory, Yang Hao doesn't care about these things. If Kaido dares to act wild, he will be killed directly. He doesn't care whether he is Joey Boy or not. As for the founding of the country, there is no need to wait. He drives whenever he wants. Yugong Rehei had no objection to this, and even agreed with it. Because she didn't grow up with Oden, she wasn't brainwashed by the so-called fatalism. Her idea is simple. Good things are good things. Distributing food to people across the country right now is a good thing. The founding of the country is also a good thing. Why wait for such a good thing? Of course, the sooner it happens, the better. Therefore, whether it is the initiative to deliver food or Yang Hao's plan to found a country in the future, Kazuki Hiyori strongly agrees. Soon, there were cheers all over the country. Especially in barren places such as Julie Village. The smiles on the faces of those who had eaten failed artificial devil fruits and could only laugh continuously became real. This side of Ghost Island. Yang Hao looked at the strong men in front of him and raised the wine glass in his hand. Katakuri, Jin, Quinn and others saw this and quickly raised their glasses. Everyone performed very well this time. Here's a toast to everyone. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Hao drank the wine in his hand. Here's to Boss Yang Hao. Here's to Captain. Captain led us to a beautiful victory this time. Katakuri and the others naturally did not dare to neglect, saying respectful words while hurriedly drinking down the wine in their hands. The atmosphere suddenly became heated. Yang Hao continued. Everyone who takes part in the battle this time will be rewarded with tens of millions of belliries. In addition, I would like to highlight a few people, Katakuri, Smoothie, Jin, Jack, and Fozifu. How many of you are there? I see all your performance there, and your reward will be doubled. It is worth mentioning that when Yang Hao was fighting the war, he did not completely focus on Kaido and others. He also cares about the men he brought with him. After all, if one of these mid to high level combat forces is lost, it will be a big loss. So when he was fighting, he was actually paying attention to Katakuri and others. In fact, what Katakuri didn't know was that he had died during one of the simulations. After all, the situation of the war at the top was too chaotic, and even Yang Hao could not completely control it. However, Yang Hao naturally did not allow such a thing to happen, so after many simulations, he chose the best result. Although many people were injured, all his men saved their lives and were brought back by him. This method is exactly the blue wave ball. Therefore, Fuzifu, including Jack, were completely devoted to Yang Hao. Ha ha ha, Mr. Yang Hao, I wish Mr. Yang Hao a triumphant return. If not Kurozumi Orochi, who else? Yang Hao naturally knew this, but he was also happy to do so. The state of Fuzifu and others is naturally the best. They are different from Katakuri and Jin. Although it is only a temporary enhancement of strength, this method can definitely save lives at critical moments. Katakuri certainly goes without saying. When other people saw this, they naturally picked up their wine glasses, looked for people they knew or were nearby, and drank happily. As for money, forget it. I brought some congratulatory gifts, I hope you will accept them. The leader was a short middle-aged Mediterranean man with an ugly appearance and a lewd smile. Next is Fuzifu. This guy is quite loyal. Although he was knocked unconscious by Kaido with a stick later, Yang Hao was also very satisfied with his performance. Katakuri and Jin didn't react much to Yang Hao's praise. Seeing the Kurozumi snake coming uninvited, Yang Hao's expression suddenly became playful. It is no exaggeration to say that there is no one who is not fascinated by the animal-type fruit ability users who use the blue wave ball. However, the current output of this thing is still not much. On the other hand, Jack, Foosford and others were very excited. Only when various factors such as interests, fears, and needs coexist, can their superior-subordinate relationship be strong. So at this moment, Yang Hao not only praised these people for their merits, but also praised them. Next, it's time to drink freely. As he said before, blindly intimidating his subordinates is not a long-term solution. But they are different, they can still improve. And in the midst of such celebrations, suddenly, a group of people came to Ghost Island. Katakuri and Jin are people whose status is beyond promotion, and they will not be short of money. Moreover, the several forms formed by the blue wave ball seem to be of great help to the development of animal fruit abilities. It will definitely be reused later. But Yang Hao clearly has the means to make them stronger. During many simulations, Yang Hao naturally noticed many outstanding performers. What is conceivable is that once Yang Hao takes control, it must be someone with a high status who can get more blue balls. Soon, the entire Ghost Island was completely plunged into celebration. The same goes for Jin. Yang Hao deserves a lot of credit for choosing to fight against Kaido. Yang Hao stopped talking and just whispered to Baby 5 and putting beside him. In fact, what makes Fuzifu and others so excited is that following Yang Hao, in addition to gaining a higher status, is also related to interests. Chapter 249 The Kurozumi snake is no longer valuable, and the country of Wano changes hands. Seeing the Kurozumi snake coming uninvited, Yang Hao's expression became playful. As if feeling Yang Hao's attitude, the laughter around him gradually dropped and turned into silence. The big snake Kurozumi came with his attendants and a lot of gold and jewelry to flatter him. Just feeling the atmosphere of the scene, his smile gradually became stiff. In fact, Kurozumi sensed something was wrong long before he came here. The reason is simple. Yang Hao's banquet was a national celebration. Logically speaking, one should inform him of the Wano general, or simply invite him to the banquet on Onigashima. But from beginning to end, he did not receive any notification from Yang Hao. Ever since, Kurozumi became anxious and hurried to Onigashima with his men and gifts. Smart people know what this situation means. Not to mention someone like Kurozumi Orochi who is already cunning. Kurozumi is also quite clever. As the saying goes, don't hit someone with a smiling face. In his opinion, Yang Hao couldn't let him go if he brought so many gifts and came to congratulate him in a low voice, right? As long as he is given a chance, he is confident that Yang Hao will let him go. However, Kurozumi overestimated Yang Hao's courage. In other words, at his level, temperament is no longer important. In the land of peace, he is a god who can do whatever he wants. So at this moment, looking at the Kurozumi snake, a hint of murderous intent gradually emerged from Yang Hao's eyes. In fact, if Kurozumi had been smarter and escaped from Wano country, Yang Hao might have let him go. But now, he took the initiative to come forward, and Yang Hao naturally had no reason to let him go. I was busy participating in the war on top, so I didn't deal with this guy for the time being. But now, the war on the top is over, and Yang Hao has decided to let the country of Wano be founded. Then, Kurozumi Orochi, the puppet general, is naturally no longer needed. It was time to catch this guy and publicly execute him, so as to win over some people's hearts. Thinking of this, Yang Hao's face turned completely cold and shouted to Kurozumi, "Stop." Kurozumi heard the words and suddenly became excited. Master Yang Hao. Can you call me by my name?" Yang Hao looked at Kurozumi Orochi indifferently and snorted coldly. "Humph, you tyrant and foolish king, look what Wano country has become under your management. People are in dire straits, pirates are rampant, and people in some places even don't have enough to eat." Hearing this, Kurozumi's expression changed drastically. He felt the extremely dangerous meaning and quickly explained, "Master Yang Hao, yes, it is Kaido. The reason why Wano country became like this is Kaido's fault and has nothing to do with me. In fact, although Kurozumi is stupid and ignorant, the current situation in Wano cannot escape Kaido's reasons. He built weapons factories, forcibly recruited people to work, and got drunk and went crazy in Wano country. These were all major reasons why Wano country became a hell on earth. As for the Kurozumi snake, it can only be regarded as a crime of aiding others. But if you want to incriminate yourself, why bother? You still dare to shirk responsibility now. Sooner or later I will settle the score with Kaido, and you can't run away either. Come here, take down this fatuous general, Kurozumi Orochi, and publicly execute him in Curry 3 days later. As soon as Yang Hao finished speaking, the people at the banquet started to move. People who were close to the Kurozumi snake took action one after another. But the most attentive person was Fuzifu. He took the lead, stepped on Moonwalk, and shaved it. Kurozumi was so angry that he subconsciously turned into the terrifying Yamada no Orochi form. It's just that he is a silver pewter spearhead. He was subdued by Fuzifu within 2 seconds. Yang Hao frowned when he saw this. It's not that he's dissatisfied with Fuzifu's speed, but he's dissatisfied with Kurozumi's ability. This Yamada no Orochi is definitely an awesome phantom beast species. Not to mention other abilities, just 9 lives is very abnormal. Such a precious phantom beast fruit was actually eaten by the Kurozumi snake. It was like a flower stuck in cow dung, a waste of natural resources. Thinking of this, Yang Hao immediately decided to ask Caesar Kerrang to come here to extract the fruit power of the Kurozumi snake. Just in time, when Doflamingo comes back to take orders, ask him to send Caesar over. Speaking of which, Caesar is also a talented person. Following Doflamingo is a bit of a waste of talent, so it is better to follow him. Together with Quinn and him, we can form a scientific research team comparable to Vegapunk. However, several days have passed. Why is there still no message from Doflamingo? Could it be that the capture of Moonlight Moria failed? Thinking of this, Yang Hao's eyes flashed again. The reason why he asked Doflamingo to capture Moonlight Moria was naturally because he didn't want to waste it. The shadow fruit is, to a certain extent, also a god-level fruit. But according to Marine's bird nature, it is very likely that he will have to fight Moonlight Moria later and be defeated by Luffy. I don't know if Moonlight Moria can escape this time. It would be fine if he escaped, but if he couldn't escape, he might as well catch the other party. Whether it is drawing out the shadow fruit ability or letting Moonlight Moria work for him, it is a good thing. What surprised Yang Hao was that Doflamingo's speed of doing things was slower than expected. There is no news yet. Did Moonlight Moria really escape? Or maybe he caught Moonlight Moria but was unwilling to hand it over to him. Thinking of this, Yang Hao thought that after the banquet was over, he should contact Doflamingo to take a look. Master Yang Hao, you can't kill me. I will be a good puppet. Don't kill me. I will listen to you in everything you say. After hearing Yang Hao's words, Fuzifu naturally picked up the Kurozumi snake and took it away. Kurozumi struggled violently and wanted to plead with Yang Hao. But Yang Hao's face was cold and unmoved at all. Kurozumi was dumbfounded, but under the stimulation of death, he still had an idea and said, Master Yang Hao, I am the general of Wano country. You killed me as a pirate. The people here do not recognize you. I can't be the general of Wano, so it's better to let me work for you. I can guarantee that I will do whatever you say. When Yang Hao heard this, he immediately smiled dumbly. Kurozumi Orochi got to the point. As a pirate, he is indeed not suitable to be a general, and people will probably find it hard to believe him. But what Kurozumi didn't know was that Yang Hao was fully prepared for this. The first one is naturally his fame. I am afraid that the people of Wano country are already familiar with his name. The man who replaced Kaido. Next, Hiyori distributed food and publicly executed Kurozumi Orochi. These things will definitely bring huge reputation to Yang Hao. In addition, he is Kazuki Hiyori's man, so it is a natural thing to succeed the general of Wano. Therefore, the Kurozumi snake is no longer valuable. In this way, in the end, Kurozumi was taken away with a gray face and temporarily imprisoned in the rabbit bowl. The party continues. It lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. But at the end, another wave of people came to the door. When those people were brought over, Yang Hao only took one look and smiled. These guys are CP0. World Government People. Chapter 250 CP0, World Government's Intention. Oh, people from World Government. Let them in. After hearing the report, Yang Hao was a little surprised. In fact, Kaido has always cooperated with World Government. In fact, most of the sea floor stones produced here are sold to the World Government. The remaining small portion is given to Doflamingo for him to sell in the underground world. However, this business temporarily stopped after Yang Hao obtained the say in the Beast Pirates. Because he knows that if his plan to fight a war at the top succeeds, the World Government will probably want to kill him. How is it possible to cooperate with him again? Unexpectedly, the other party actually sent someone over. What's the idea of this? It seems that this war on top has completely disrupted the plot of the pirate world. It is estimated that more changes will occur in the future. Yang Haoro realized something. Before this, many plots had changed because of him. But now, as the war on top has been changed by him, this change has begun to become bigger and bigger. This is also normal. After all, Whitebeard and Ace are both characters who are shocking in the new world. Their survival will definitely have a great impact on this world. The three Luffy brothers recognized each other. All in all, the pirate world in the future may never overlap with the new world in Yang Hao's memory. Now that people from the world government are looking for us, this may be the reason. Thinking of this, Yang Hao was secretly vigilant. Perhaps, after the banquet, he would first spend a sum of money to predict as many events as possible in the future. This kind of simulation is not about becoming stronger, but about the changes in the world after the dramatic changes in the plot. Only by mastering this information, large and small, can Yang Hao face all changes with greater ease. Certainly. At present, the people from world government are coming for the purpose of negotiation, so there is no need to be too nervous for the time being. With this idea in mind, Yang Hao asked people to bring people from world government over. Sure enough, as if confirming what Yang Hao thought. The person from world government who walked into Yang Hao's room was none other than CP0, who appeared in the war with the country of Wano in later generations. A man and a woman, Guernica and Stussy respectively. Yang Hao, we are CP0, here to negotiate with you on behalf of the world government. Guernica should be the leader of the two. As soon as he came up, he said to Yang Hao. Yang Hao first asked someone to serve tea to the two of them, and then asked, "It's interesting that the world government would still negotiate with me. I wonder what else you want to talk to me about." Regarding this point, he did not simulate it in advance and was really curious about the purpose of these people. That's it. As for the world government, we hope that the Sea Tower Stone transaction that we previously cooperated with the Beast Pirates can continue. Of course, the premise is that you agree to our world government's solicitation. Recruiting. You plan to recruit me. When Yang Hao heard this, a look of surprise suddenly appeared on his face. Although this is a consistent routine of the world government, Yang Hao couldn't help but be a little surprised after hearing it. But then his face became weird. Don't you understand my current status, and you actually want to recruit me? After hearing this, Guernica said directly, "Of course we know that you are already a veritable emperor of the sea, alongside Whitebeard, Red Hair, and Kaido as the four emperors." Hearing this, Yang Hao rolled his eyes immediately. Now that he knows, then the world government still wants to recruit him. You know, 7 warlords of the sea, at this level, may still be recruited. But the emperors of the sea, each one has become a climate, dominating one side. Under such circumstances, who would be willing to stop being the big brother and become the little brother for the world government? And this is also very possible. At that time, the status may be unique, but the power will definitely be weakened. After thinking about this, Yang Hao naturally shook his head. It seems that the world government also came here after some consideration. But the price is not small. And Yang Hao, the emperor of the sea, has also been officially recognized, and he can even establish a kingdom and obtain the status of the first alliance country. All in all, agreeing to the world government's recruitment is still beneficial to Yang Hao. If you want, we can even let you become an independent country and become the #1 joining country under the name of world government. This time the war on top was just an accident. However, in addition to the benefits, Yang Hao also saw the disadvantages. Of course, there is nothing explicitly stated here, and Yang Hao can do whatever he wants and not obey orders. If it's 4 emperors, forget it. Putting aside everything else, his men would definitely suffer a lot of casualties. After hearing this, Yang Hao finally understood. By then, even if the 3 Whitebeards are really killed, his power will be weakened. This situation, placed in the ancient times of the earth, is when the rebel army was recruited by the current emperor and the land was made king. After all, no emperor would tolerate a prince with powerful military forces. There are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. If you join forces with our world government, we can destroy the other 4 emperors together. From then on, you will be the only emperor in the sea, and the emperor recognized by our world government. But just to destroy the 3 sea emperors, Yang Hao would definitely have to put in a lot of effort. And speaking of it, the world government also has a criminal record. It invited the 7 warlords of the sea, which was an unkind act. Naturally, the world government will not tolerate such a powerful pirate force and will continue to shake its dominance. In this way, it will not only eliminate the threat of Yang Hao, but also deter the 3 Whitebeards so that they will not dare to do it again. Not only does Yang Hao need to contribute to deal with other sea emperors, he may also need to take orders from the world government in the future. The 7 warlords of the sea are officially recognized pirates and have legal rights to plunder. I see. First, Yang Hao would also lose a lot against the other emperors of the sea. Their method of wooing Yang Hao was actually similar to inviting 7 warlords of the sea, except that the treatment was higher. But if there is only one emperor, they will most likely take action. The world government really thinks highly of me. However, I still refuse. Inviting Yang Hao now probably means Marine has suffered heavy losses and wants to find a strong ally. However, world government seemed to be well prepared for this, and Guernica immediately said, even if you become the Emperor of the Sea, you can still be recruited. It is absolutely impossible for the world government to attack 4 sea emperors at the same time. If the world government turns against him, then it will be troublesome. This kind of treatment, to be honest, is already very good. Therefore, the existence of Whitebeard and others is a threat to Yang Hao, but to a certain extent, it is also a guarantee of his safety. Chapter 251 officially recognized as the most powerful sea emperor and tens of billions of ape gods. Hearing Yang Hao's words, Guernica suddenly fell silent. Stussy didn't say anything, and for a while, the scene became cold. Okay, you can go back. Since he refused, Yang Hao felt that there was no need to waste time chatting with the two of them anymore. But at this moment, Stussy, who had been silent, said, Yang Hao, have you thought it through? With what you've done, if you don't ally with our world government, we will definitely pursue you at that time. Hearing this, Yang Hao's face suddenly turned cold. The expression on Guernica's mask suddenly changed, and he shouted, Stussy. Sorry, let's leave now. Saying this, Guernica pulled Stussy away. Stussy, what are you talking about? It's pointless to anger him like this. After leaving Ghost Island, Guernica couldn't help but scold Stussy. HMPH, when do we, the world government, need to be so afraid of others, even if the other party is Yang Hao? Stussy's tone was unruly, but underneath her mask, there was a smile. Hearing this, Guernica couldn't help but have a headache. Follow what Yang Hao did, destroy their war plans, and plunder the marine headquarters. Of course they would not let each other go for such a thing. In fact, they will never forgive each other from the moment they become 4 emperors. But there is no need to say these things in front of Yang Hao to anger him. Of course, this is also a threat. But which 4 emperors can be a threat? Especially Yang Hao, who even dares to make plans for marine headquarters. It would be strange if it could threaten him. So there is no benefit in angering him by speaking now. The other party may even take it out on them when they are angry, or they may even take action against marine or world government. That's trouble. Guernica didn't know how Stussy, who was usually calm and rational, could make such a mistake. But now, it's useless to say more. It's better to go back and take orders first. And this side, after his subordinates reported that Guernica and Stussy had left Wano country, Yang Hao's expression returned to normal. In fact, he is not easily angered, especially when he knew Stussy's identity. This Stussy is apparently the queen of Happy Street and one of the CP0s, but in fact, she is from Vegapunk. It is estimated that she was very happy to see Yang Hao conflict with the world government, so she deliberately made such a small mistake. And knowing his true position, how could Yang Hao be provoked by him? However, the world government must be in a state of distress now, right? Then Yang Hao smiled playfully again. Marines suffered such a big loss this time due to the war, and the world government naturally had a hard time with it. After all, Marine is the violent organization of the world government. Now that the violent organization is in trouble, even though the world government also has some troops, it will naturally panic. This can be seen from the fact that the other party comes to us and wants to form an alliance and cooperate. Moreover, Yang Hao also knew that the reason for world government's headache was probably the reason why warring states resigned. In the original war, even if they won, the warring states period would take the blame and resign. This time, it will definitely be no exception. The Marine Fleet Admiral's position will be vacant, which will cause a fight between Akainu and Aokiji. The Ice and Fire Island War should still be staged. As a result, the world government will naturally become even more panicked. It would be no exaggeration to say that Marine is completely paralyzed now. Sengoku resigned, Garp was unable to do his job, and Kizaru had to sit at the headquarters even though he was diligent. The more Yang Hao thought about it, the more he discovered the panic of the world government. Perhaps I can take this opportunity to visit the Holy Land. After thinking about it, Yang Hao suddenly felt something in his heart. Although he gained a lot this time, he naturally cannot have too much money. Marine's headquarters already has more than 10 billion. How much money will the world government, as Marine's financial backer, have? This is unimaginable, but definitely more than Marine headquarters. In fact, since becoming a top powerhouse, Yang Hao has long had the idea of going to the Holy Land to rob. But before this, Yang Hao had not implemented it. First of all, he didn't have much spare money before. Secondly, he also understood that he would not gain much by heading to the Holy Land rashly. The reason is that the Holy Land is also heavily guarded. The CP department, the Knights of God, the 5 Elders, these forces cannot be underestimated. Not to mention, as for Marine, there are top experts coming to support at any time. Under such circumstances, Yang Hao only has the strength of a top expert. If he goes there, he may not gain much, or even go there in vain. But today is different from the past, and the current situation is very different. It should be impossible for Marine to have top experts go to the Holy Land to support them. And now Yang Hao is no longer an ordinary top powerhouse. Of course, it's still in simulation. This is also very important. You know, Sabo is not even at the level of a top powerhouse and can walk back and forth in the Holy Land, let alone him. The most powerful Sea Emperor ever. After the Ding Ding War, various events have undergone tremendous changes. If Yang Hao wants to be on the safe side, he must master these intelligence connections and make preparations in advance. The news about Morgans has reached here. That is to simulate the future trend first and see what big things will happen. A full 10 billion Baileys. Among the top experts, his strength is definitely one of the best. Ape God, Yang Hao, bounty, 10 billion Baileys. But before starting the Holy Land simulation, he still had some things to do. Moonlight Moria was captured, but now it's in Kaido's hands. Then there is news from Doflamingo, but it is bad news. It turns out that Kaido has taken over Dressrosa. As a result, in the next few days, Yang Hao became the most eye-catching super news in the world. First of all, Blackbeard's side actually killed the World Destroyer, suspected of having taken away the opponent's Momo fruit ability, and was hunting people with abilities everywhere. Sure enough. If some mysteries could be figured out earlier, it would undoubtedly be of great benefit to Yang Hao in the future. Of course, Yang Hao doesn't necessarily want to make money. Even if you can't get the money, it's still good to go and investigate. The nickname of the ape god began to spread. Calculating this, it is definitely a good time for Yang Hao to explore the Holy Land now. Although he is now confident that he will escape unscathed in the Holy Land, he still won't go too far until he understands the true power of IM and others. After all, this period is very critical. Any major event will change the subsequent pattern. After all, until now, the mysterious veil of the Knights of God, the Five Elders, and even the big boss behind the scenes, IM, has not been unveiled. That's all. Upon thinking of this, Yang Hao immediately decided to go to the Holy Land for a visit. This is simply equivalent to official recognition of Yang Hao's status as the strongest four emperors. Moreover, in the original book, when Sabo broke into the Holy Land, General Marine also blocked the way. In just a few days, Yang Hao received various unexpected messages. Just as he thought. But what surprised Yang Hao the most was the message from world government. As a result, at this moment, the world government released Yang Hao's new reward. After the banquet, Yang Hao finished arranging things in Wano country and started the simulation. Let's talk about the update. Dear readers, I am really sorry. Because of my carelessness, I didn't finish the previous several eunuch books. Then I wanted to say that I don't care about my grades, just get perfect attendance. As a result, there is a rule about perfect attendance. If you have more than 2 signed contracts that are not completed, you cannot receive perfect attendance. As a result, the 1,500 point attendance limit for this book in June was lost. In June, I only had a manuscript fee of 500 to 600 yuan, which caught me off guard, and I suddenly had no motivation to update. Needless to say, the following July was miserable. Currently, I owe a lot of debt and can hardly afford to eat, so I have to work for a while. It just so happens that the plot has also progressed to attack world government, and the original work has not yet completely unveiled the mystery of world government. If I stop for a while, I will be able to write better when the time comes. Chapter 252. A look into the world government, the giantess Leia, the Knight of God. After you arranged the affairs of Wazi country in Wangguo, you left Wazi country alone. Close black lens bracket. Using Breeze mirror fruit ability, you quickly returned to Marinefondo. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, Malinfondo is in full swing of reconstruction. Although there are many people, they have not found you who was deliberately hidden. Close black lens bracket. Soon, you left Marinevondo smoothly and flew straight towards the Holy Land Marigioa. Close black lens bracket. 2 days later, an extremely high and majestic island appears in front of you. Close black lens bracket. You know, the Holy Land Marigioa has arrived. Close black lens bracket. Then let me see what secrets are hidden here. You murmured and flew into the Holy Land without concealing your figure. Close black lens bracket. Your presence was quickly discovered by the guards of the Holy Land. In the blink of an eye, countless guards surrounded you from all directions. Close black lens bracket. When you saw this situation, you didn't panic at all, and still headed towards Pangu City in the center, but at the same time, dense golden hairs poured out from all over your body, and you suddenly entered a complete animal form. Close black lens bracket. You transformed into an ape, and soon caused a wave of exclamations. It seems that people recognized your identity. In an instant, a large number of people stepped on the moonwalk and flew towards you through the air. Close black lens bracket. Get out. Faced with the crowd surrounding you, you suddenly frowned and shouted loudly. At this moment, a huge sound, wrapped in red lightning, burst out. Close black lens bracket. Under the influence of your conqueror's domineering power, less than half of the people present instantly turned their eyes and fainted. Some people also covered their heads with painful expressions. Only 1/3 of the people were able to stare at conquerors and continue. Approaching you. Close black lens bracket. Seeing this, you didn't say anything. You immediately tightened your throat and started drinking again. Close black lens bracket. Get out of here. This time, it was conquerors who roared, and the expressions of the remaining people changed greatly, and they paused. Close black lens bracket. Taking this opportunity, your suspended figure flashed out and headed straight towards Pangu City. Close black lens bracket. But at this moment, a figure ignores conqueror's domineering force and intercepts you. Close black lens bracket. You paused for a moment, then subconsciously looked at the other person. Close black lens bracket. It turned out to be a young and beautiful woman, but she was wearing armor and had an unmistakable power on her body. Close black lens bracket. Who are you? Yang Hao asked doubtfully. The woman in front of him was not the five elders, nor any marine he knew. Close black lens bracket. In this case, she should be someone from world government. However, Yang Hao recalled the people in the CP department and found that no one matched her. Who is she? Close black lens bracket. Knights of God, Leia. The next moment, the woman introduced herself, and you couldn't help but raise your eyebrows, a little surprised. Close black lens bracket. The name of the Knights of God is certainly familiar to you. This is the most mysterious and powerful organization in the world government. It is not only responsible for the external security of the celestial dragons, but also responsible for dealing with internal problems. Close black lens bracket. In comparison, the CP department is just a bunch of fish, while the Knights of God are the elite among the elite. Their status is so high that they can even punish the Tianlong people. And the Valley of God incident has the shadow of these people. Close black lens bracket. According to legend, there are only 20 members of the Knights of God. It can be seen from this that the status of the Knights of God should be second only to the five elders. Close black lens bracket. Thinking about this in your mind, a smile appeared on your face. Unexpectedly, you would gain something from your first exploration of the Holy Land. Close black lens bracket. Isn't the existence of the other party the reason why you want to conquer the Holy Land? Close black lens bracket. In your opinion, if the mystery of world government can be completely lifted, the road ahead will definitely go smoother. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. This is the most powerful force in the pirate world. As long as you know the details of the other party, you will no longer be afraid of anything. Close black lens bracket. Ape God Yang Hao. Why are you trespassing on the Holy Land? If you don't give a proper reason, I can only treat you as a foreign enemy and attack and kill you. At this moment, this woman named Leia is cold to you. Said. Close black lens bracket. She obviously knows your identity, but she doesn't seem to have much fear. Close black lens bracket. It's no wonder the top-level combat power is rare among pirates, but for the world government, which has ruled the world for 800 years, it is naturally not too fearful. Close black lens bracket. Understanding this, you smiled. Kaido. It's nothing, I'm just a little curious about the Holy Land, so I came here to have a look. If you don't mind, can you take me to visit and get to know the people here? If you can achieve the purpose of exploring the world government without fighting, of course you will be very happy. Close black lens bracket. Unfortunately, the other party is not that easy to talk to, or in other words, the world government is not that easy to talk to. Close black lens bracket. This reason is not enough, you should leave, otherwise, you will stay here forever. Haha, I've come here, but I don't have the habit of leaving empty-handed. You expressed your attitude clearly. Close black lens bracket. Leia stopped talking when she heard what you said, but her expression turned cold. The next moment, a shocking situation occurred. Close black lens bracket. A burst of bright light emerged from Leia's body. The next second, the light converged, and a 14-meter-tall figure appeared on the spot. Close black lens bracket. At this time, Leia is no longer as beautiful as before, but has become majestic and terrifying. Her giant-like height exudes a strong sense of oppression. Close black lens bracket. When you see this scene, you can't help but be a little surprised. Is this a devil fruit ability? This woman has turned into a giant? Before you can ask, Leia has disappeared in an instant, obviously due to the shave. Close black lens bracket. With a bang, you were blasted away. You were in midair. You turned around suddenly, stabilized your figure, and looked at Leia, who had turned into a giantess again. There was a look of interest on your face. Close black lens bracket. It's better to grow bigger. I can do this too. As soon as you finished speaking, your figure suddenly swelled up. In the blink of an eye, you turned into a giant King Kong that was even taller than the female giant. It was the strengthening of the monster. After using monsters to strengthen you, you roar and kill the giantess Leia. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Boom boom boom. Close black lens bracket. Between the two sides, 6 moves began to burst out, domineering collisions and physical confrontations. Close black lens bracket. The surroundings suddenly turned into an earth-shattering battlefield. The guards and CP people surrounded you, but they subconsciously retreated from a distance, looking at you and the female giant in the fight in horror. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, they seemed to see 2 prehistoric monsters fighting desperately. Close black lens bracket. At the same time, the movement here naturally spread to Pangu City. Close black lens bracket. The Knights of God are stationed at the station, and figures sitting or standing look at the footage of the surveillance scene with amusement. Close black lens bracket. In the conference room, the 5 elders were also alerted. After learning about the situation, they all sneered. Close black lens bracket. And among the flowers, at this moment, 2 figures are staying inside, 1 figure is standing, and the other figure is kneeling on the ground. Close black lens bracket. The figure standing among them is none other than I am. As for the other kneeling figure, it is an unexpected person. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 253. The Terror of the Knights of God. The Aloof Red in Pangu City. Bang! After a duel, you and Leia each took 2 steps back. Close black lens bracket. This time, you did not rush to attack again, but looked at the opponent with a playful expression. Close black lens bracket. Up to now, you have determined that this female member of the Knights of God has strength similar to category. Close black lens bracket. So the Leia in front of me is a powerful person at the level of an emperor and deputy. Close black lens bracket. If you only have this strength, you can't stop me. Realizing this, Yang Hao immediately stopped hesitating and activated his ultimate move. Close black lens bracket. Heart strengthening and moon lion form, unfold, you instantly become a 20-meter white-haired King Kong. Close black lens bracket. A shot of the ape god's gun shot out, instantly knocking Leia away, causing her to be seriously injured and vomiting blood, and even her arm was blown off. Close black lens bracket. However, Leia's ability is very special. She actually started to heal herself, but her face was very solemn. Close black lens bracket. When you see this, you can't help but think of the recovery ability of the 5 elders. Is this ability related to the 5 elders? Close black lens bracket. Before you could figure it out, the battle situation suddenly changed, and several figures flew out of Pangu City and came to Leia's side. Close black lens bracket. There are 6 people in total, and each one of them exudes an aura that is no weaker than Leia's. Close black lens bracket. 7 powerful men at the level of emperor and deputy. This time, it's your turn to look solemn. Close black lens bracket. This Knights of God has a total of 20 people. Based on the background of world government and the strength shown by Leia, you have already guessed that the members of this Knights are not simple, and they are most likely to be like Leia. They are all royal lieutenants, and it is very possible that there are even top experts. Close black lens bracket. But even so, when you really see it, your face freezes. Even if there are no top experts, 20 emperor deputy level experts are still exaggerated. They are much stronger than your subordinates. Close black lens bracket. There is nothing to say now. You moved your steps and turned into a phantom and rushed forward. A fierce battle broke out again. Close black lens bracket. Simulation ends. Benign changes obtained. 1. Little combat experience. Malignant changes eliminated. None. In Guidao's room, Yang Hao's eyes flashed and he came back to his senses. He actually died. Yes. The first time he investigated the world government, he actually died in battle. This result is not surprising. Even though Yang Hao's power is one of the best among the top powerhouses, it is still not enough to face the behemoth who has ruled the world for 800 years. This is also normal. If the world government was so easy to overthrow, why did Roger at his peak and the even more terrifying rocks do nothing? What Yang Hao didn't expect was that even Sabo, whose strength did not reach the level of a top powerhouse, could fight his way out of the world government, and he would actually die there. Of course, the reason why he died was actually very reasonable. Because this time he went to world government, he encountered the obstruction of the Knights of God. At first, there was only Leia, but later, 6 more came. The 7 Emperor deputy level experts, even Yang Hao, felt a lot of pressure. As a result, before he could deal with Leia and others, more Knights of God appeared. Even ancient Saint Figalondo Green, the supreme commander of the Knights of God, showed up. And just as Yang Hao thought, the supreme commander Figalondo Green, the ancient saint, is indeed a top powerhouse. Still a great swordsman. As a result, Yang Hao, who had been unable to fight for a long time, finally died due to exhaustion and was surrounded by ancient sage Figalondo Green and others. After dying, Yang Hao did not exit the simulation immediately, but waited and watched for a while. However, the 5 elders did not come forward, and in the end it was the Knights of God who handled the follow-up. At this point, Yang Hao exited the simulation. Just thinking of this, Yang Hao couldn't help but frown. In fact, he did not intend to thoroughly explore the details of world government in one go. It's just that this time, I didn't even see the 5 elders and I am, which is indeed a bit exaggerated. The Knights of God truly deserve their reputation. But this time, Yang Hao was not without gains. At least, he saw the power of the Knights of God. After all, the Knights of God are also one of the things he wants to explore. It's just the Knights of God. After all, it's just the Knights. They are not the 5 elders, nor are they I am. What Yang Hao wants to explore most is the abilities of the 5 elders, as well as Im's true face and strength. But to do this, you need to defeat the Knights of God. To be honest, if Yang Hao really takes his men there, he is confident that he can defeat the Knights of God. But if he was the only one, it would be really difficult. Of course, his purpose is not really to defeat the Knights of God. If that's the case, maybe he can do it differently. Thinking of this, Yang Hao turned on brain enhancement again. While sorting out the abilities of the Knights of God, I was thinking about whether there were any problems with the new approach. After half a day, Yang Hao had eaten and drank enough and started a new simulation. You arrived at the Holy Land. Although you were careful, you were soon discovered. Close black lens bracket. A large number of guards, CPs, and even people from the Knights of God came out. Close black lens bracket. Leia, who was discovered first, turned into a female giant again and attacked. Close black lens bracket. But this time, you did not accept the challenge. Instead, you used the air dance technique to avoid all attacks and flew towards Pangu City. Close black lens bracket. During this period, more people from the Knights of God appeared, but you ignored them. Even if you were attacked, you held on and continued flying towards Pangu City. Close black lens bracket. Finally, even the ancient Saint Figalondo Green couldn't bear to look at it anymore, and he appeared and unleashed a shocking attack. Close black lens bracket. You instantly transformed into a 20-meter-long white-haired King Kong, struck with a bang, and then plunged into Pangu City. Close black lens bracket. At this time, the expressions of the people who were chasing and blocking all changed, and they understood your purpose. Your purpose is to enter Pangu City regardless of the situation. Yes, this is exactly what Yang Hao thought of. It is true that he cannot defeat the Knights of God head-on, but why should he defeat them head-on? Anyway, he is in the simulation and can die at will. In this case, as long as we can find out the information we want, it doesn't matter even if we die. With this idea, Yang Hao had the idea of breaking in. Although the Knights of God are powerful, if Yang Hao wants to force his way through, he can still do so. Especially when he already knows the abilities of each member of the Knights of God. It's not difficult to do this, just like this moment. You successfully entered Pangu City and continued flying towards the center. Close black lens bracket. If you think about it, you should be able to meet the 5 elders as you wish. Close black lens bracket. But then, an unexpected old figure breaks into your sight. Close black lens bracket. This old man is not any of the 5 elders, but the aloof red, Valoric Redfield. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. You can't help but be surprised when you see the other party here. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 254 Mind Reading, Simulation System Exposed. Thanks to Phantom Keto for the reward. You will be surprised to see the lonely red, Valoric Redfield. Close black lens bracket. Isn't this guy a criminal who escaped from the 6th floor? Why is he here? Close black lens bracket. Before you can figure this out, the lonely red has disappeared. Close black lens bracket. The next second, you were directly knocked out by Gugao Jihong, and the people from the Knights of God also chased after you. Close black lens bracket. The war breaks out again. With the participation of Gugao Hong, your attempt to meet the 5 elders has completely failed. Close black lens bracket. This time you are under siege, more dangerous than before. In less than half a day, you were completely defeated. Close black lens bracket. You who were seriously injured and defeated were not killed this time. Instead, you were captured by Gugao Jihong and taken to Pangu City, seeming to imprison you. Close black lens bracket. Are you curious why I appear here? Oh, why'd I have to tell you? Looking at you, Gugao Jihong suddenly said jokingly. Close black lens bracket. What? Did you see through my mind? Then will the existence of the simulation system. Wait. Hearing Gugao Jihong's words, you were suddenly startled, and subconsciously thought of the other party's mind-reading ability, as well as your own system. Close black lens bracket. As a result, at this moment, your thoughts were read by Gugao Jihong again. Close black lens bracket. Simulation system. What is it? Gugao Jihong was a little surprised to read your thoughts, and subconsciously activated the mind-reading skill with all his strength. Close black lens bracket. You looked shocked. The simulation system was really discovered by the other party. This is your cheat. What will happen if a character in the original One Piece is discovered? The content of this simulation was simply earth-shattering. Yang Hao's cheat simulation system was discovered by the original character in One Piece. Of course, this is not surprising. After all, Gugao Jihong has the ability to read minds and can see into people's hearts and even memories. And this is also the reason why Gugao Jihong has always been a lone ranger. After all, neither the human heart nor the sun can be looked directly at. What Yang Hao didn't expect was that such an aloof red would appear in Pangu City in the Holy Land. He defected to world government. What on earth happened here? It was precisely because of this unexpected situation that Yang Hao temporarily forgot to take precautions and fell into the trap of Gugao Jihong. But looking at the content of the simulation, Yang Hao didn't panic at all. All because this is just a simulation. Even if cheat is discovered, it doesn't matter. The plot that happens in the simulation will not affect the pirate world he lives in. So even if cheat is discovered by the lonely red, it won't be a big problem. On the contrary, at this time, Yang Hao even felt a move in his heart and suddenly wanted to see the subsequent development. Knowing the existence of the simulation system, what will Gugao Jihong do? And the reason why he contributes to world government, can he take the opportunity to get the answer? With this idea, Yang Hao did not end the simulation, but let it continue. Ha 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 ha, simulation system, there is such a treasure in this world. After gaining insight into your memory, Gugao Jihong suddenly raised his head and laughed wildly. From your memory, he suddenly discovered the use of the simulation system. I even saw how you became stronger after using the simulation system. Close black lens bracket. The excitement of Gugao Jihong is beyond words. In his opinion, since you can use the simulation system to become one of the best among the top powerhouses in such a short period of time, then he can also use this simulation system to break through the current bottleneck. Possessing the power to truly overwhelm the world, he doesn't even need to be afraid of close black lens bracket. You looked at Gu Gao Jihong coldly, with a sneer gradually appearing on your face, close black lens bracket. Soon, Ji Yu Gaoji's red pupils shrank and his smile condensed, close black lens bracket. What? This is not the real world, this is just the world in the simulation. As long as the simulation ends, everything here will no longer exist, and the memories of his people will also be erased. Gu Gao Jihong was shocked. From your heart, he suddenly got another ridiculous answer. Close black lens bracket. No, it's impossible, you're lying to me. Ji Yu Gao Jihong wanted to deny it, but soon couldn't continue. Close black lens bracket. According to his understanding of the simulation system, what you are thinking now may be true. After all, you have just finished the war on the top, and there is absolutely no reason to break into the Holy Land and enter Pangu City. But if this is just a simulated world, then everything can be explained clearly. Close black lens bracket. The reason why you are so rampant is entirely because of the existence of the simulation system. No matter what happens, you can ignore it, reset everything, and go back to the time when you did not forcefully break into the Holy Land. Close black lens bracket. Aware of this, Ji Yu Gao Jihong's face became extremely ugly. After knowing the existence of the simulation system, he thought about taking it as his own. Close black lens bracket. Of course, he can't take away the simulation system, but he thinks there is one person who can do it, and that is Vegapunk. As long as he studies it, it shouldn't be difficult to take down your research system, and he was still from world government, and he happened to ask Vegapunk for help. Close black lens bracket. But just when Ji Yu Gao Jihong was having wild thoughts, your thoughts caught him off guard. Gu Gao Jihong was stunned for a moment. Close black lens bracket. This feeling, for him, is like arriving at the place where Wen Keisei is, but unable to take away this super treasure of Wen Keisei. Close black lens bracket. HMPH, no wonder you're not afraid of me reading your mind. It turns out you have this confidence. It seems that you also know my identity very well, right? Looking at you with a sneer on your face, Ji Yu Gao Jihong said coldly. Close black lens bracket. Of course, Guao Jihong. You smiled faintly, and then asked your most puzzling question. It's just that I didn't expect that a man like you would actually become a lackey of the world government. Hearing this, Ji Yu Gao Jihong's face darkened, and he snorted coldly. What a hawk, dog, and lackey. Everyone is just doing what they need. They gave me the phantom beast fruit to help me regain my youth. I will only serve them for a few years. Close black lens bracket. You didn't expect that you could pull out Ji Yu Gao Jihong's words so easily. You learned that the reason why the other party joined the world government was because of the vampire fruit. You were once again surprised. It can be seen that the plot of the other party has obviously changed. Close black lens bracket. Originally, Gu Gao Jihong found the vampire fruit by himself, but this time, it turned out to be given to Gu Gao Hong by the world government. No wonder the other party would work for the world government. Close black lens bracket. What do you mean? What does it mean that I originally obtained the vampire fruit by myself, but this time it was given to me by the world government? Wait, kid, have you experienced another parallel world? Gu Gao Jihong suddenly frowned again and asked. Close black lens bracket. You were suddenly stunned. Your thoughts were actually understood by Gu Gao Jihong again. Close black lens bracket. This time it's even more serious. He actually let the other party know the existence of the original pirate world. Close black lens bracket. When the simulation content reached this point, Yang Hao already had a bad feeling and was about to end the simulation, but at this moment, something unexpected happened again. Chapter 255. Clone and Body, Sacrifice and Devouring? Yang Hao couldn't help but frown as he looked at the simulation content in his mind. He really wanted to see what would happen after the simulation system was discovered. How does Gu Gao Jihong, a native pirate, understand the simulation system? What he didn't expect was that after Gu Gao Jihong understood the usage of the simulation system, he could analyze it very clearly. This situation made Yang Hao feel inexplicably irritable. Subconsciously, he wanted to end the simulation. Even in the model world, he felt something was wrong if Cheat's existence was completely exposed. But at this moment, in the simulated world, Gu Gao Jihong once again made shocking remarks. Haha, you want to end this simulation, right? Do you think ending the simulation is that simple? According to my judgment, after this simulation system is turned on, it will create a new timeline. Each timeline is a new world. And your body is to swallow the clones in many worlds, achieve yourself, and be alone. Powerful. As a clone of you in this world, are you really willing to sacrifice yourself to fulfill you in another world? When you heard this, you were stunned. Close black lens bracket. Seeing this, Yang Hao from the outside couldn't help but frown. I don't know if it's because of aging, but Ji Yu Gao Jihong's words seem to make some sense. Perhaps, he said this to prevent himself from ending the simulation world. But if you think about it carefully, it seems logical. So, he really gained power by devouring clones from many worlds? And the other clones also sacrificed themselves to complete their original bodies. Thinking of this, Yang Hao couldn't help but feel a little strange in his heart. But then, he still had a thought and ended the simulation. Ding, this simulation is over. None of the benign changes have been obtained, and none of the malignant changes have been eliminated. Close black lens bracket. The simulation was finally over, and the content of the simulation was no longer playing out in Yang Hao's mind. He breathed a sigh of relief, then frowned again. Clone, body? This simulation greatly exceeded Yang Hao's expectations. Originally, he just wanted to find out the details of the world government. Unexpectedly, I would meet Gu Gao Jihong. Moreover, the other party's words made Yang Hao feel confused for the first time. What is the truth about the simulation system? Isn't this an illusory world conceived by the system? Does the self inside really exist? But in the end, they were all killed by the system and became their own nourishment. Thinking of this, Yang Hao frowned more and more, feeling inexplicably irritable. This is just what the old guy said to mess with my mood, don't worry about it. Yang Hao immediately comforted himself, but then, his mood seemed to be really messed up. I am simply not in the mood for any more simulations. The accumulation of irritability gradually formed a group of evil fire. After thinking about it, Yang Hao asked someone to call baby -5 over. By the way, there's also Hiyori, let her come over too. Soon. Baby -5 and Kazuki Hiyori both came to Yang Hao's room. What happened, Yang Hao? Master Yang Hao. Baby -5 and Kazuki Hiyori entered the room and soon realized something was wrong. At this time, Yang Hao was breathing heavily and his eyes were red. Nothing, come here. Yang Hao did not explain, but stretched out his hand and pulled the two women into his arms. Maid outfits and kimonos disappear in a flash. Soon. The gasping sounds of baby -5 and Kazuki Hiyori could be heard in the room, just like the cries of warblers. On this day, Yang Hao did not simulate or deal with the affairs of Wano. Instead, he stayed in the room with baby -5 and Kazuki Hiyori all day and night. Wait until the next day. Baby -5 and Kazuki Hiyori limped away with flushed faces. The room had become very chaotic after such a long period of work. Yang Hao lay on the messy bed and finally breathed a sigh of relief. After the evil fire was vented, the irritability in his heart finally eased greatly, and his whole person felt refreshed. I don't know if it was for this reason, but Yang Hao suddenly felt relieved. Humph, I almost fell into that old guy's trap. In the new world created by the simulation system, Yang Hao in it is myself, not some clone. They are me, and I am them. There is no difference between us at all, and there is no talk of devouring or sacrificing. No matter how many timelines there are, how many simulated worlds there are, I am who I am, and thousands of me are also me. I am who I am. At this moment, Yang Hao had an enlightenment. He did not sacrifice his clones to achieve his true body, but the thousands and thousands of Yang Haos were all his own. There is no talk of sacrifice or devouring between the two parties. All Yang Haos are the same person and are working hard for the same goal. Realizing this, Yang Hao was completely relieved. His state of mind completely returned to normal. However, this simulation brought some reminders to Yang Hao. He didn't seem to understand the simulation system thoroughly. Otherwise, he would not have been self-doubt due to a few words from Ji Gaojihong. Fortunately, his thinking was also very deep, so he was not deceived. Otherwise, he may not use the simulation system in the future, and even if he uses it again, he will feel uncomfortable in his heart. Thinking of this, Yang Hao also felt a little scared. Judging from the current situation, even if his power is already at the top stage among the top powerhouses, it is obviously not enough to overthrow the world government. Without the help of the system, it would be in trouble. But now that he has figured it out, he can continue to use it with peace of mind. But after what happened this time, Yang Hao suddenly had another premonition. Now, he is indeed not very familiar with the simulation system. But this is also because the simulation system level is not high. If the simulation system can be upgraded again, perhaps the mystery of the simulation system will be completely unveiled to him. Just thinking about the amount of money currently required to upgrade the simulation system, Yang Hao was speechless again. The previous simulation upgrade cost 10 billion Baileys. But now, this amount has directly become 10 times. Even Yang Hao can't afford this much money now. Unless, he has the ability to conquer the Holy Land, maybe he can get it together. But now, he can't even see the 5 elders. It is undoubtedly a fantasy to conquer the Holy Land. Still not strong enough. Yang Hao sighed. At this time, he gradually gave up the idea of exploring world government. In fact, in this aspect, he is not considered a failure. At least for now, he is familiar with the members of the Knights of God, and he also knows that Gu Gaohong is currently working for the world government. As for the 5 elders, there is no need to deliberately test them. Yang Hao is also very clear about their abilities, but he has not yet figured out the opponent's unbreakable mechanism. And it's a pity that we didn't meet him, but judging from the content of the previous simulations, it seems that even if you see the opponent, you can't deal with it, so it doesn't matter if you give up temporarily. After thinking about this, Yang Hao immediately invested Bailey in simulating becoming stronger. Chapter 256 Execution of the Big Snake, Oil Pot and Robbery Site. 3 days later, Yang Hao ended another simulation and took a breath. It seems that it won't take long to master the Super Saiyan Ape God form. These days, after giving up the idea of exploring the world government, Yang Hao invested the funds on hand to simulate becoming stronger. The goal this time is to exercise physical fitness and enhance domineering. Of course, in terms of ability, Yang Hao has not fallen behind. There is still room for improvement in his abilities. Until now, he has not awakened yet, so this time, Yang Hao was rushing to awaken. After countless simulations, the funds Yang Hao had on hand were spent very quickly. 1 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion. It's a waste of money, but the results are impressive. The first is the physical aspect. Originally, Yang Hao's physique was already difficult to exercise. All because he has reached the top stage. Various exercise methods, basic exercises, gastrointestinal strengthening, and even elemental stimulation, all have minimal effects. But it can't handle many simulations and takes a long time. So after a few days, Yang Hao's physical fitness has made further progress. The second is domineering. Armed hockey has reached the stage of flow soccer, capable of damaging enemies externally and even destroying internally. On the contrary, he was so domineering and made no progress. The same goes for conquerors. Although Yang Hao has mastered conquerors, he still has not mastered Batang. The other thing is ability. After 10 billion hits, Yang Hao's ability still hasn't reached awakening. Although Yang Hao is very familiar with his current abilities, he still feels that there is something missing. This also resulted in him never being able to take the step of awakening. But in terms of ability, he is not without gains. At least this time, he is close to completely mastering the Super Saiyan God form. The previous Super Saiyan God form was rarely used by Yang Hao because it consumed too much power. Later, after mastering monster strengthening and Moon Lion transformation, he hid for a while. But this time, Yang Hao plans to normalize it, because in his opinion, if he could use the Super Saiyan God form and the Moon Lion transformation at the same time, he might be able to gain even more powerful power. It is worth mentioning that the enhanced power of monsters is actually somewhat comparable to the Super Saiyan God form. But it is obvious that in terms of output, the Super Saiyan God form will be stronger. After all, the monster's enhanced size is too large, and the Super Saiyan God form is equivalent to concentrating the power, which will have a little Arrancar effect. In terms of speed, it will also have more advantages. Generally speaking, the Super Saiyan God form is actually more suitable for fighting. But this time, after deliberately cultivating his abilities, Yang Hao was pleasantly surprised to find that the Super Ape God form had gradually become normal. In short, the consumption of the Super Saiyan God is gradually becoming bearable for him. Of course, it may also be due to Yang Hao's continuous improvement in physical fitness. So Yang Hao had a hunch that as long as he continued to improve his physique and cultivate his ape abilities, after a while, even if his abilities could not be awakened, he would be able to completely master the Super Sailor Ape God form and normalize it. Overall, the 10 billion this time is still worth it. At the top level, every bit of progress is precious. As long as Yang Hao reaches the top level in all aspects, by that time, he will be the strongest top powerhouse. Master Yang Hao, it's time for Kurozumi's execution. Do you want to go and watch it? At this moment, a gentle voice sounded. Yang Hao turned around and saw Kazuki Hiyori, who was wearing a kimono and a charming face, coming to report. Turned out to be. Before I knew it, it was time for the public execution of Kurozumi Orochi. Naturally, Yang Hao would not miss this opportunity to build his reputation and nodded immediately. Next, Yang Hao took Kazuki Hiyori and went straight to Jiuli. This is the place where Kurozumi was executed. At this moment, there was a crowd outside the execution site. Seeing the Kurozumi snake tied to the execution rack, the people were filled with excitement. This stupid general is finally going to die. I heard that it was Master Yang Hao who captured this foolish king. Kurozumi, you be ***************, it would be a shame to die. Master Yang Hao, are you the new general of Wano country? There is hope for the future? Yes, I have never had enough to eat in my entire life, and it's all thanks to Mr. Yang Hao. People reviled Kurozumi and praised Yang Hao. There is no way, their life has been much better since Yang Hao came to power. In addition to being able to have a full stomach, I am no longer oppressed. At this moment, the crowd became excited again. Master Yang Hao is here, and Master Rihei is here. A pair of handsome men and beautiful women descended from the sky and arrived at the execution stage. It was Yang Hao and Kazuki Hiyori who flew in. Seeing the two people, the crowd was even more excited. And here, Yamato, who was presiding over the execution, had already come forward to salute Yang Hao. Are your things ready? Bring them up. Yang Hao nodded and then said to Yamato. Yamato heard this and quickly made a gesture to his subordinates. Soon, a group of men came over struggling to carry a huge pot. Inside the pot is a pot full of clear oil. More than a dozen people were busy for a while, and soon a bonfire was built and the oil pan was placed on it. Seeing this, Kurozumi turned pale and quickly begged for mercy. Master Yang Hao, please spare my life, please spare my life. I can do whatever you want. Don't kill me. Yang Hao was indifferent and just looked at it with amusement. A look of pleasure flashed across Kazuki Hiyori's pretty face. More than 10 or 20 years ago, her father was executed in a frying pan in public. Now using the same method to execute Kurozumi Orochi, she immediately felt very happy. Thinking of this, Kazuki Hiyori couldn't help but glance at Yang Hao with emotion. This method of execution was proposed by Yang Hao. Looking at the panicked Kurozumi, Yang Hao smiled. Don't you have a long life? Let's see if you can withstand this frying pan. It doesn't matter how long you hold on. An hour is enough. If you can hold on for an hour, I will let you go. Start the execution. Yang Hao gave the order and the execution began. The Kurozumi snake was immediately thrown into the oil pan. But at this moment, the crowd started to commotion, and more than a dozen figures rushed towards the oil pan at the same time. Help me. When Kurozumi saw this, the big snake was overjoyed. Turn out to be. After Kurozumi was captured, Yang Hao also ordered his men to be completely eradicated. But his men seemed to have gotten wind of it, and some of them escaped. Suddenly appeared at this time, obviously intending to rob the execution ground. This scene is so similar to when Kazuki Oden was executed. Yang Hao saw this and smiled coldly. Yamato was about to take action, but at this moment, lightning flashed in the sky, and more than a dozen thunderbolts suddenly rained down, striking at those people with incomparable precision. Boom! Amidst the loud thunder, Kurozumi Orochi's men were all wiped out. Far away from the execution platform, a man with Buddha ears lowered his palm with an indifferent expression, and there was a ray of lightning flashing on it. Inside the oil pan, Kurozumi was stunned. Chapter 257. Kurozumi's death. The white group liquidation battle continues as usual. Looking at the dumbfounded Kurozumi, Yang Hao burst into laughter. He spent more than 10 billion in this simulation to become stronger, which naturally means that he has experienced countless hours in the simulation world. As a result, he knew everything that happened recently. In the simulated world, although Yang Hao was not present in person, he naturally knew what happened before and after the execution. This of course includes the situation where Kurozumi Orochi's men robbed the execution ground. Knowing this, how could Yang Hao be unprepared? So this time in the real world, before bringing Kazuki Hiyori to the execution ground, Yang Hao had already asked Enel to support him. Of course, both he and Yamato can take action, but there are many people around who may cause accidental damage if they take action, so it is better to let Enel strike accurately. Ever since, there was a scene in front of me, As the oil heated up, the Kurozumi snake soon screamed. His panel began to blister and swell under the heat of hot oil. Kurozumi screamed repeatedly, unable to use his abilities due to the constraints of the sea tower stone. With his human body, there is no way he can compete with these high-temperature hot oils. Of course, even if he can activate his ability, it will be of no avail. Yamada no Orochi's ability can indeed enhance his physical strength, but Kurozumi Orochi itself is too useless. Even if it has the ability to increase, its physical strength will not be much stronger. Let alone an hour, even half an hour, I'm afraid it won't be enough. As for the human form state, it goes without saying. In less than 5 minutes, the Kurozumi snake's screams suddenly stopped and sank into the oil pan. But soon, the Kurozumi snake was jumping around and screaming loudly. But a few minutes later, he sank into it again, and the cycle continued. This is Yamada no Orochi's ability at work. Even if he is locked by the sea tower stone and cannot be used, his abilities still exist. So Kurozumi Orochi still has 8 lives. When Yang Hao saw this, his smile became even bigger. It is worth mentioning that he did not kill Kurozumi Orochi directly. In addition to gaining reputation, he also planned to take away his Yamada no Orochi ability. But now, there is a problem on Doflamingo's side, and it should be impossible, so Yang Hao is too lazy to delay. It's just the ability of a fantasy beast species, it can't be wasted. Moreover, he has many men, so he can use stupid methods to search around later. Especially Enel, who has mastered the Haki of large-scale sight and color. Yang Hao simply gave him the task of finding the Yamada no Orochi fruit. At this point, there will be no more surprises in Kurozumi's execution. Next. Sure enough. In less than half an hour, the Kurozumi snake was completely reduced to coke and sank into the oil pan. Yang Hao finally left with Kazuki Hiyori and the cheers of the people. Back on Ghost Island, Yang Hao did not continue the simulation, but after thinking for a while, he made a call. Soon, the call was dialed, and the phone bug in front of Yang Hao had a crescent-shaped white beard, and his entire face looked calm and intimidating. The identity of the person on the other side of the phone is already revealed. That's right, it's Whitebeard. Whitebeard was also surprised when he received Yang Hao's call. What's wrong, Yang Hao boy, what's the matter? Nothing, I'm just asking you if you want to make another deal? What deal? Whitebeard was confused. Yang Hao smiled. I will take care of your funeral affairs. The price this time is 5 billion. After you die, I will protect your sons and let them leave safely. Hearing this, the white beard opposite fell into a long silence. Yang Hao boy, do you want to die? After a while, Whitebeard's voice sounded again, but it was obviously angry. The terrifying conqueror's domineering energy seemed to be transmitted through the phone bug. Yang Hao was indifferent. Whitebeard, don't be so excited, haven't you already realized something? Don't you think about what happens next? After all, even though Ace survived the war, many of his friends also died. Originally, I planned to ask Red Hair to learn it, but if Whitebeard can teach me, he can kill two birds with one stone. Especially Batang. Therefore, after he entertained Yang Hao and Hongfa, and buried his friends, he took Marco, Ace and others to launch a reckoning with Blackbeard. Marco, Ace and others who survived could no longer defend Whitebeard's territory and fell apart. If he wants to earn 100 billion, it will be difficult even if he has a lot of territory now. But then, Whitebeard gave an answer that surprised Yang Hao. But at this time, Blackbeard has obtained the power of Momo fruit, and like the original work, he subdued the King of Evil and others, and strengthened the Blackbeard pirates. After spending tens of billions this time, Yang Hao still has several billion on hand, but of course it is not enough to actually spend it. The situation that Yang Hao was simulating this time was not just as simple as the execution of Kurozumi Orochi. The big event that happened recently, besides the Fleet Admiral battle between Akainu and Aokiji, is the Battle of Reckoning between Whitebeard and Blackbeard. So he planned to make a deal with Whitebeard again. After all, Yang Hao's words almost made it clear. But actually, there is a reason for this. From Whitebeard's point of view, Yang Hao's words were a bit incomprehensible. After the war, Whitebeard is still alive, and what he wants to do is actually foreseeable. After hearing Yang Hao's words, the Whitebeard opposite him finally reacted. With the character of Whitebeard, it is impossible to tolerate Blackbeard. Ever since, the outcome of this battle was the same as in the original work. If this kind of extra money comes a few times, it will be almost the same. Yes, just like the original work, the Whitebeard pirates launched a reckoning with Blackbeard. He also learned about several major events, and if there is extra, he plans to collect 100 billion to upgrade the simulation system and completely lift its mystery. And these are exactly what Yang Hao predicted from the simulation. This point will not change even if Whitebeard survives. The Whitebeard pirates were defeated. Although it was not the tragic defeat in the original work, Whitebeard also died as a result. If he could earn another 5 billion from Whitebeard, he would still be very happy. It should be said that after Whitebeard survives, this situation is even less likely to change. If you don't know, forget it, but since you know it, Yang Hao naturally won't sit idly by. Of course, Yang Hao wanted to help Whitebeard not because of friendship, but because of interests. Of course, in addition to making money, Yang Hao also plans to take the opportunity to learn Conqueror's domineering spirit from his opponent. It is no exaggeration to say that Blackbeard, who has the ability to obtain the Momo fruit, may be even stronger than the ability to obtain the Shock fruit. So after learning about Whitebeard's fate, Yang Hao found him again. Finally, Blackbeard once again replaced Whitebeard and became the new 4 emperors. Wrong. Chapter 258 Participate in the liquidation war? Kaido cannot stay. Looking at the phone bug who ended the call, Yang Hao still had a look of surprise on his handsome face. Just now, Whitebeard gave the answer, but it's not a promise, it's a rejection. That's right, it's rejection. Whitebeard actually refused his help. No, to be more precise, he refused to trade with him again. Are you out of money? Now Whitebeard has a high probability of running out of money? After all, the previous 5 billion may have been emptied out of his inventory, and he may even have borrowed a lot from Marco and others. Certainly, Whitebeard's rejection of him this time probably wasn't due to money issues. This time, maybe it's arrogance. Probably. Yang Hao sighed secretly. In the previous war on top, because the opponent was Marine, Whitebeard was able to let go of his pride and accept his help and deal. But this time it's different. The opponent is Blackbeard. Although Blackbeard is obviously different now, Whitebeard obviously still can't let go of his arrogance. After all, this is his former son. If we have to call in foreign aid to deal with Blackbeard now, Whitebeard obviously can't get through this hurdle in his heart. Wanting to understand this, Yang Hao couldn't help but shook his head. In fact, he didn't understand what Whitebeard was doing. In his opinion, the outcome of Whitebeard's settlement with Blackbeard is obviously uncertain. After all, Whitebeard's health is deteriorating, while Blackbeard is in a period of vigorous improvement. Whitebeard really has no advantage. Under such circumstances, Whitebeard is still arrogant, which is irresponsible to Marco, Ace and others. Certainly, perhaps it is this arrogance that creates Whitebeard's domineering personality. Call it stupid or stubborn. This is Whitebeard. However, although he was rejected by Whitebeard, Yang Hao did not intend to give up. In fact, even if Whitebeard doesn't pay, Yang Hao plans to intervene in this liquidation battle. The reason why I asked Whitebeard for money was just to follow the trend. As for why he must intervene, it is naturally because Yang Hao has powerful enemies that must be destroyed in this battle. This powerful enemy is none other than Kaido. That's right, it's Kaido. Originally, it didn't matter whether Kaido or Yang Hao were destroyed. Now Kaido can no longer shake his rule over Jin and others. But now it seems that Kaido's existence still poses a certain threat to him. This can be seen from the opponent's occupation of Dressrosa. Originally, Doflamingo could still be of some use to Luo Peng, but now it was directly blocked. Not only is Moonlight Moria being detained there, but even the fruit of the Kurozumi Orochi cannot be obtained through Doflamingo. Another one is the artificial devil fruit. Because of the blue wave ball, Yang Hao plans to continue this project. But these had to be stopped because of Kaido. Regardless of whether Kaido did it intentionally or not, Yang Hao naturally couldn't turn a blind eye. Certainly, what Yang Hao couldn't tolerate the most are Kaido's subsequent actions. In the battle of reckoning between Whitebeard and Blackbeard, he surprisingly also participated in the battle. Probably because of their friendship on the 6th floor of Impel Down, or because Kaido wanted to kill Whitebeard no matter what. All in all, Kaido also participated in the battle of reckoning. This is probably one of the reasons for Whitebeard's final defeat. Judging from this situation, it is naturally even more impossible for Yang Hao to let Kaido go. This time, Kaido was able to unite with Blackbeard to kill Whitebeard. Next time, Kaido may not be able to join forces with Blackbeard to take action against him. Speaking of which, in fact, Kaido's loss of Jin and others did not have a great impact on him. Because the Beast Pirates are completely a violent group with Kaido as the core. Such a violent group can be formed again without much effort as long as Kaido does not die. In other words, Yang Hao will be threatened if Kaido is left in the world for even one day. Whether he unites with Blackbeard or forms a new violent group again, these situations are all very detrimental to Yang Hao. That's why, this time, Yang Hao did not intend to let Kaido survive anymore. Taking advantage of this battle of reckoning, he will completely kill Kaido. In addition, if possible, Yang Hao certainly wouldn't mind killing Blackbeard. As a pirate, Blackbeard is a greater threat than Luffy. Even though Luffy is pregnant with Nika, he is still an adventurer. And Blackbeard is a total hero, to achieve the goal, any means necessary. This is somewhat similar to Yang Hao. Even to a certain extent, Yang Hao is not as good as him. If such a being is allowed to fully grow up, he will definitely become Yang Hao's strong enemy in the future. Having said that, in fact, both Kaido and Blackbeard can be Yang Hao's help in dealing with the world government. After all, no matter what, the biggest boss in the world is still world government. This point has been increasingly confirmed after Yang Hao's previous simulations. According to this situation, if Yang Hao kills them, it will actually be equivalent to losing the help in dealing with the world government. And this help is quite a lot, but the problem is that both Kaido and Blackbeard are ambitious people. If we cooperate with them to fight against the world government in the future, there is no guarantee that we will not be stabbed in the back by them. Yang Hao would rather not have such help, but Whitebeard, Luffy, and Dragon can be real helpers. Although red hair is a bit mysterious, it can still be regarded as one. These people, if they help, they will help. As for Blackbeard and Kaido, rather than letting them cause trouble, it is better to destroy them now and use their resources to strengthen ourselves. It is precisely because of this idea that even if it is clearly rejected by Whitebeard, Yang Hao still plans to participate in the battle of liquidation. But at this time, Yang Hao didn't need to be too anxious. According to what he predicted, the battle of reckoning between Whitebeard and Blackbeard would take place a week later. After all, they don't have Bray's mirror fruit, so it will take some time to recruit people and get on the road. In this case, Yang Hao can naturally make some preparations within this week. For example, first completely master the Super Saiyan God form. Or you can simulate a liquidation battle first to avoid overturning. Of course, the possibility of rollover is still very low. Given his foreknowledge, Blackbeard's fighting strength should not change much. But Whitebeard's side is different. If Yang Hao leads the Beast Pirates out in full force and joins the battlefield forcefully, even if they cannot crush the Blackbeard Pirates, they will definitely be able to create a situation of suppression. But thinking of this, Yang Hao still activated his brain enhancement and began to think carefully. That's all. As time goes by. Soon, on the marine side, the fleet admiral battle between Aokiji and Akainu took place as scheduled. As for the pirates, the battle of reckoning between Whitebeard and Blackbeard broke out without any surprise. Chapter 259 Doflamingo's Grievance, the Battle of Ice and Fire Island begins. Dressrosa. Inside the palace. On the balcony of a certain room, Doflamingo stood there, staring at the sky, his face gloomy. Behind him, Diamante, Torbil, Pika and others were all there, but they were all silent and depressed. Phew, that devil is finally gone. Buffalo suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, Kaido didn't know what he was doing. He suddenly transformed into a huge blue dragon, rose into the sky, and flew away. Just seeing this scene, the faces of Doflamingo and others were still very ugly. Especially the leader, Doflamingo, looked at the direction Kaido was leaving with veins surging on his forehead. Kaido has been here for only half a month, and Dressrosa has been turned into a mess by him. The city of romance has simply turned into a city of war and is in constant damage. Forget it. What makes Doflamingo most unhappy is that Pika and other cadres have to be picked out and beaten up by Kaido from time to time. That guy often beats people up when he's drunk. As a result, even Pika, who had the stone fruit, looked bruised and swollen at this time. Doflamingo regards these cadres as family members and does not allow anyone to harm them, not even to laugh at them. But this rule was ruthlessly broken by Kaido. Regarding this situation, Doflamingo dared not speak out in anger. But now, the situation seems to be turning around. Kaido seemed to have just answered a phone call and left in a hurry. If you leave now, you may not come back. Of course, it is possible to come back. After all, Kaido no longer has any territory. If he wants to find a place to live, Dressrosa is still his first choice. Thinking of this, Doflamingo's face naturally didn't get much better. Torble couldn't help but ask, Dover, what should we do now? If Kaido comes back again, will we still let him bully us like this? Kaido was not here, and Diamante was also angry. That guy, I really want to chop him with a sword. As for Pika, he wanted to speak, but his throat was injured. Even wanting to make that weird sound was a luxury, and he could only look at Doflamingo with a grimace. Doflamingo took a deep breath, still feeling angry. In fact, he wanted to resist Kaido more than once. He even wanted to release the birdcage, cover Dressrosa, and then lead a swarm of cadres to kill Kaido. But Doflamingo knew that this was impossible. Even if the birdcage can trap Kaido, they will never be Kaido's opponents. So no matter how much Kaido goes too far, they can only endure it silently. In fact, Doflamingo has a way to get rid of Kaido's oppression. That is, ask Yang Hao for help. Judging from the situation where Yang Hao defeated Kaido in the top battle, it would not be a big problem for Yang Hao to deal with Kaido. But in this way, their situation has not changed much, it is just equivalent to escaping from the tiger's den and entering the wolf's den again. Obviously, Yang Hao couldn't help them for no reason. If Yang Hao is asked to take action, even if they can defeat Kaido, they will most likely be loyal to Yang Hao by then. Otherwise, why would Yang Hao help them? It is precisely because of knowing this that Doflamingo is in a dilemma and has not taken action. Thinking of this, Doflamingo's face became complicated. In fact, he had already foreseen the wave of the new era. I just never expected that it would be so dangerous. Even if they are Don Quixote, if they are not careful, they will be completely wiped out. Just like now. If they make the wrong choice, they, Don Quixote, will most likely disappear into the long river of history. Of course, this is not surprising. No one can stop the wave of the new era. Big Mom is a good example of this. Facing the wave of the new era, even Big Mom couldn't resist, so much so that the Big Mom pirates completely fell apart. Their Don Quixote power is not small, but compared with the Big Mom pirates, there is definitely a big gap. Even the Big Mom pirates were eliminated by accident, let alone them. So until now, Doflamingo still has not made up his mind to resist Kaido. However, Doflamingo also knows that this situation cannot last long. In the current situation of the New World, pirate supernovas are coming in one after another, the 4 emperors are changing, and the 7 warlords of the sea are in turmoil. There is also the sudden rise of ambitious pirates like Blackbeard. The wave of the new era has begun to sweep the world. No one can stop it, of course. Doflamingo is actually more optimistic about Yang Hao than Kaido. Compared to Kaido, Yang Hao is younger, more courageous, and stronger. Such a man seems destined to become a trendsetter in the new era. Whoever can board his ship will definitely have a place in the new era. Just thinking about this, Doflamingo still felt unwilling. Obviously he is the man who wants to become One Piece and overturn the world. What does it mean to be inferior to others like this? Doflamingo's face became more and more complicated. He stood there for a while and then ordered in a hoarse voice. Raoji, go and check where Kaido is. Good. Raoji naturally had no objection and left the room immediately. Doflamingo then explained to Torple and others. To find out Kaido's whereabouts, we must naturally grasp his whereabouts and even his purpose. It would be okay if Kaido never comes back, but if the other party comes back, they will have to make a choice this time. You have to choose whether to sincerely obey Kaido or find another supporter. Otherwise, we will not reach the shore at both ends and will only be submerged in the wave of the new era. After hearing Doflamingo's explanation, Torble and others' expressions darkened. This time, even Bafaro looked solemn, but next. Before Raoji could find out Kaido's whereabouts, bad news came from Punk Hassad. Joker, come and save me. Caesar's call went directly to Doflamingo. What happened? Don't be anxious, tell me slowly. Doflamingo was surprised and asked immediately. Regarding Caesar's plea for help, he subconsciously thought of Kaido. Could it be that Kaido went to Punk Hassad? Fortunately, Caesar denied this. But what he said next was even worse. What? Aokiji and Akainu appear in Punk Hassad. We even got into a fight, what's going on? Doflamingo was amazed. Torble and others also looked at each other in confusion. They didn't know that the famous Battle of Ice and Fire Island had already begun. At this moment, Punk Hassad, inside the institute. Caesar cowered in fear. Monet was also expressionless. They looked through the surveillance device and saw only the sky in the distance. 2 completely opposite waves of terrifying energy suddenly swept away. The clear sky is directly divided into red and blue colors. Chapter 260 The structure of the 10,000 Beasts Group, the limit of the Blue Wave Ball? The Country of Peace. Onigashima Residence. Yang Hao burped and put away his stomach-strengthening state. Back in the room, Kazuki Hiyori took the initiative to massage Yang Hao. Resting on the round pillow and smelling the scent of the other person's body, Yang Hao relaxed completely. Looking at the sky in the distance, Yang Hao was a little distracted. Counting the time, the Battle of Ice and Fire Island should begin, right? Yang Hao looked into the distance, and in a daze, he seemed to see the unparalleled wonder of the sky of ice and fire. Through simulation, he naturally knew the exact time when Akainu and Aokiji fought. However, he could not benefit from the fight between the two, so he ignored it. Of course, maybe he could wait until the end of the battle between the two and go over to take advantage. By that time, both Aokiji and Akainu were exhausted and almost lost their ability to fight. Under such circumstances, two marine generals may be killed at a small cost. But Yang Hao thought about it and gave up the idea. It's not that simple to kill Aokiji and Akainu. On Marine's side, they may allow Aokiji and Akainu to fight, but they will never stand idly by. With the meticulousness of the Warring States period, people will definitely be sent to monitor and protect. Needless to say, the elite lieutenant general may even send Garp or Kizaru. So it's really not that easy to kill Aokiji and Akainu while they are weak. In addition, killing General Marine doesn't seem to be of much benefit to Yang Hao. As a pirate, he is opposed to Marine, but according to what Yang Hao knows, it's really hard to say whether Marine will still side with the world government in the later stages. Judging from the original work, top powerhouses such as Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, Fujitora, and even Aokiji seem to have a tendency to go against the world government in the later period. Akainu, Green Bull and others seem to be loyal to the world government, but they are not that thorough. So until the end, we really can't tell whether the pirates and Marines are hostile or not. Maybe, Marine will also play a role in dealing with the world government in the future. And with this idea, Yang Hao is even less likely to get involved in the Ice and Fire Island War. However, Yang Hao would not mind destroying Aokiji among them if possible. After all, if Aokiji is not killed, Aokiji will leave Marine and join the Blackbeard pirates after the Fleet Admiral battle is over. By then, his existence may cause big trouble to Yang Hao. Of course, this also refers to the situation where Yang Hao did not intervene in the Battle of Liquidation. If he intervenes in the Battle of Reckoning, it's hard to say whether the Blackbeard pirates can still exist in the future. It will most likely be destroyed, and by that time, even if Aokiji wants to join the Blackbeard pirates, he will naturally have no choice. Of course, in addition to these, there is another reason why Yang Hao did not intervene in the Ice and Fire Island War. That is, in a few days, there will be a Battle of Reckoning. If you intervene in the Ice and Fire Island War, you may not be able to catch up with the Liquidation War. For Yang Hao, of course, the Battle of Liquidation is more important. By the way, which deputy is available now? Yang Hao suddenly thought of something and asked Kazuki Hiyori. It is worth mentioning that the various positions in his Beast Pirates have also been reorganized and divided. It's not as complicated as the Beast's Pirates, but very simple divisions. So now, in the Beast Pirates, there are no big signs and generals, only the Emperor's deputy. The professional titles of the ministers and Linkong Luji were changed to captains and captains. If we use bounty to classify, then the Emperor's deputy level has a bounty of more than 1 billion. For those with a bounty of less than 1 billion, they are captains and squad captains. Those below 100 million are ordinary members. Those without bounties are simpler and are the lowest level peripheral members. This division is very clear, so Kazuki Hiyori immediately understood the meaning of Yang Hao's words. The so-called Imperial Deputy naturally refers to Katakuri, Jin, Yamato and others. On weekdays, Yang Hao rarely pays attention to everyone's movements, except when there is an order to release. So much so that Kazuki Hiyori usually follows up on other trivial matters. Therefore, Kazuki Hiyori also grasps everyone's movements. After hearing Yang Hao's words, she immediately started recounting all her treasures. For example, Katakuri was patrolling the 10,000 Kingdoms area, and Jin and Enel went out to look for the Yamata no Orochi fruit. For example, Quinn is working on making blue wave balls. Quinn. When he heard that Quinn was studying how to make a blue wave ball, Yang Hao suddenly raised his eyebrows. What's wrong? Kazuki Hiyori asked confused. Yang Hao didn't respond, but just thought about it silently. Speaking of which, the blue wave ball also played a big role in the previous battle at the top. The existence of the blue wave ball gives Jin, Quinn and other animal fruit ability users, including artificial fruit ability users, an additional trump card. It is precisely because of the existence of this trump card that their casualty rate is much lower than that of Katakuri and others. Of course, there are also reasons for the ability of animal fruits. But the blue wave ball is definitely indispensable. For this reason, Yang Hao does not intend to stop the project on artificial devil fruit abilities. He still planned to send Doflamingo the ability to create more artificial devil fruits. After all, this artificial devil fruit ability, coupled with the blue wave ball, is instant combat power. This kind of combat power may not reach the captain level, but it is still comparable to ordinary members. In exchange for the bounty, the combat power would be tens of millions to 100 million Baileys. Therefore, it is indeed necessary to continue making blue wave balls. But manufacturing is possible, research is not necessary. By now, Yang Hao has actually discovered the limits of the blue wave ball. In other words, the blue ball has its limits. What is the limit of blue wave ball? Very simple. Its logic of enhancing the ability of the animal system is not to directly enhance it, but to stimulate the potential of the animal system's fruit ability. In other words, the stronger the ability of the animal fruit is developed, the smaller the effect of the blue wave ball will be. This was experienced by Yang Hao and Chaoba in later generations. At the beginning, by eating blue wave balls, they can transform into more enhanced forms. But later, even without the blue wave ball, they were able to change into enhanced forms. This is precisely because their ability development has become stronger and they have a higher degree of control. With their proficiency in abilities, they no longer need the blue wave ball for stimulation. And this is also the reason why Yang Hao almost no longer takes Lan Bochu. In view of this, Yang Hao naturally understood that there was no need to waste energy on improving the blue wave ball. The limit of blue wave ball is here. No matter how much research they do, it is impossible for them to break through the limits of their abilities. Thinking of this, Yang Hao immediately said, "Go and call Quinn over. I have something to talk to him about. If you just make a blue wave ball, it won't matter even if there is no Quinn." So, he immediately asked Kazuki Hiyori to find Quinn. The purpose of finding Quinn was to test his Super Saiyan God form. After these days of simulation, he has completely mastered this form. Although I have tried it in simulations, if I test it in reality, it will feel more real and have a higher degree of familiarity. Super Saiyan God form, but Yang Hao's own Super Saiyan transformation is extremely powerful. For this reason, a rough-skinned and thick-bodied Emperor's deputy is naturally needed. In comparison, although Jin is stronger, he is still not that good in this aspect. And Quinn is a perfect fit. Thinking of this, Yang Hao smiled. Quinn, who was laughing so hard that he hurried over, was panicking. Chapter 261 Quinn's Road, Island Narrow, Super Saiyan God's Fire Fist. Boss Yang Hao, what do you want from me? A drop of cold sweat fell from Quinn's forehead. Looking at the inexplicable smile on Yang Hao's face, Quinn suddenly had an ominous feeling. Yang Hao patted Quinn on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Quinn, you also know that I value you very much. It's not good for you to stay in the research institute all day long. You should practice more when you have time. Otherwise, even if they want to promote you in the future, the brothers will not accept it." Hearing Yang Hao's words, Quinn was startled at first, and then became excited. He does like research, but he does not exclude a higher status. In the Beast Pirates before, he was very unhappy when he was crushed by Jin. But now, after becoming a member of the Beast Pirates, not only is he still suppressed by Jin, but he also has an extra category. No, there's also Yamato, and Enel, Inuarashi, Neko Viper, those bastards, they all seem to be on an equal footing with him. The more Quinn thought about it, the more unhappy she became. Boss Yang Hao, you were right, but there is nothing I can do for a while. I have been studying the blue wave ball recently. I think if the blue wave ball makes progress, it may be able to defeat Katakuri. And those guys in Enel who use electricity were defeated by me in minutes. Saying this, Quinn regained some confidence. When Yang Hao saw Quinn's look, he immediately shook his head. Lambo, it's a bit difficult. Then he discovered the limits of the Rambo ball and explained it to Quinn. Quinn was immediately dumbfounded. Furthermore, even if the blue wave ball can help you, Jin is also an animal fruit ability user. When the time comes, won't you be suppressed by him? Yeah. After hearing what Yang Hao said, Quinn nodded hastily and agreed with it. So, you have to change. In fact, your path has become narrow. You obviously have a strong body, why do you need to carry out mechanical modifications? Speaking of this, Yang Hao really hated the iron. Quinn, an ancient Brachiosaurus possessor, would definitely get twice the result with half the effort if he followed the physical style, and his future was boundless. Who knew this guy could be half physical and half scientific? This also led to Quinn's failure to reach the shore at both ends. In the war with Wano 2 years after the original work, Quinn had an unparalleled record. In a word, the road is narrow. Isn't it right to modify the mechanical parts? What should I do? Hearing what Yang Hao said, Quinn was stunned. There was no way he could refute it. After all, Yang Hao is also a scientist and a person with animal fruit abilities. But Yang Hao did not have any mechanical modifications, but relied on the power of his body to suppress even Kaido. Boss Yang Hao, you have to save me. After coming back to his senses, Quinn held onto Yang Hao without tears. Haha, I called you here this time to save you. Let you see how terrifying the ability of the animal fruit is, and how terrifying it is when the body is extremely strong. Yang Hao laughed again. When Quinn heard this, he immediately became interested. Then what are you waiting for? Let me see it quickly. Good. When Yang Hao saw that Quinn had been fooled, he immediately flew to Guidao's residence with Quinn without saying anything. After landing on the ground, Quinn stared at Yang Hao. Look carefully, this is called the Super Saiyan God form, I will only use it once. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Hao began to frantically mobilize the power of the ape fruit in his body. At this moment, Quinn's face hardened. Not only did he stare at Yang Hao, he also subconsciously released his domineering aura. And in his sense of dominance, Yang Hao suddenly underwent an astonishing change. His momentum actually began to rise. This is not Conqueror's dominance. Rather, it is an aura of strength. If a person is strong to a certain extent, he will have a corresponding aura. But now, Yang Hao's aura has increased crazily. The handsome figure that seemed harmless to humans and animals suddenly became extremely terrifying. At the same time, Yang Hao's appearance also changed significantly. A golden arrogance burst out from his body. Under the influence of the arrogance, Yang Hao's tail swayed behind him and his clothes made a rustling sound. Especially the hair and brows were dyed golden and stood up. His handsome face instantly became cold. At first glance, it gives the impression that it is powerful, not easy to mess with, and has explosive power. Super Saiyan God form. What is this? Quinn muttered dully. This form seems somewhat similar to the Moon Lion transformation, but it is completely different. If we say, Moon Lion's transformation is wild, then this form is violent. Haha, this is the state in which I have greatly activated the ape fruit ability. In this state, my ape ability is probably able to be used 100%. Because of this, both strength and speed have an amazing improvement. Seeing Quinn's dull look, Yang Hao raised the corners of his mouth slightly and explained as much as possible in a way that Quinn could understand. In fact, he can use the ape fruit ability to form a Super Saiyan God form, and other people with animal fruit abilities such as Quinn should be able to do the same. But the premise is that their ability development and form proficiency must be similar to Yang Hao. Of course, this is also the reason why Yang Hao did not deliberately attack the weak points. Only a series of afterimages were left around. Quinn immediately flew out. Once you practice to that level, you might be able to master this Super Saiyan God form just like Yang Hao. With a thought in Yang Hao's mind, his cold and powerful appearance suddenly changed again. Bang! Too fast, but what made Yang Hao nod secretly? If that's the case, let's try Super Saiyan God superimposing other forms. As soon as Quinn took one punch, the second punch followed. The speed and strength of his form would shock even Kizaru, let alone Quinn. After dozens of punches, he was still able to stand up. Facing Yang Hao's Super Saiyan God form, Quinn had no power to fight back. To put it bluntly, various forms can be formed even without using blue wave balls. Inside the Ghost Island, Quinn's screams were soon heard one after another. And this time, what shocked Quinn was that the arrogance on Yang Hao's fist suddenly became fierce and turned into a ball of flame. After hitting the ground, Quinn finally reacted and suddenly turned into a tall and strong Brachiosaurus. Hearing this, Quinn was startled again. How can you handle this? The next second, he had time to scream, but just as he stood up from the dust, an arrogant fist suddenly arrived. Hearing Yang Hao's words, Quinn seemed to understand. This is a phenomenon that occurs when the force is strong enough to cause friction with the air. Quinn, please activate your ability too, so that you can feel this power for yourself. Maybe it will be easier for you to master it. This day became Quinn's nightmare. In addition to being extremely powerful, such a fist also has the power of fire. Quinn, the scientist, understood it immediately, but he was even more horrified. At this moment, Yang Hao's voice came again. Before he could react, a fist wrapped in golden flames magnified in front of his eyes. After Yang Hao entered the Super Sailor Ape God form, his movement speed was even more terrifying than Shao, almost comparable to teleportation. This guy Quinn is really resistant to beatings. Quick! Strengthen your heart and transform into a Moon Lion. Chapter 262 The Battle of Liquidation begins. The cliff blocks the enemy and the tsunami invades. New World. Beehive Island. Dozens of pirate ships arrived at this island after a period of sailing. The huge sailing ship headed by it, shaped like a whale, is world famous. It's none other than the main ship of the Whitebeard Pirates, the Moby DK. This is another joint expedition by the Whitebeard Pirates and dozens of its pirate groups. But this time, their opponent was not Marine, but Blackbeard. That's right, this time, the Whitebeard Pirates brought their pirate groups to Beehive Island just to settle the score with Blackbeard. At this moment, Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, was standing in front of the bow of the Motibic, looking at the island ahead with a cold look in his eyes. Speaking of which, this Beehive Island is still his territory. But now, Blackbeard has taken over it without any ceremony. Such behavior made Whitebeard's murderous intention even stronger. In response to this, Marco, Ace, Josie and others were all filled with indignation. This guy Blackbeard is so shameless. He actually occupied Beehive Island. This time all the accounts must be settled with him. Teach that B**************, D, I will kill him personally later. Next to Whitebeard, Marco and other captains all showed anger. Especially Ace's face was extremely gloomy. After all, he should be the one who should settle the score with Blackbeard the most. The words of Marco and others obviously reached their pirate group. For a moment, a large number of people joined in, and the shouts of killing rose into the sky. This time, their taxi spirit was no worse than fighting a war. Everyone was holding their breath and wanted to vent it out on Blackbeard. The public sentiment is raging and morale is like a rainbow. But soon, the Whitebeard pirates who came to the coast of Beehive Island encountered an unexpected situation. Originally, when they came here, they planned to kill them all at once. As a result, when they arrived here, what appeared in front of them was a coastal cliff more than tens of meters high. What's going on? Why is there a cliff here? It's the same all around, there are cliffs. This situation surprised everyone. All because as far as they knew, there were no cliffs on the coast of Beehive Island. But now, not only did a cliff appear in front of them, but also nearby. The terrain of Beehive Island has actually changed. What's going on? Everyone was surprised. The leader, Whitebeard, also raised his eyebrows. Ha 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 ha. Inside Beehive Island, inside the center station. Hearing Van Oka's report, Blackbeard laughed heartily. Although he is arrogant, he is not too careless. He had already been prepared for the Whitebeard pirates' attack. Among them, Van Oka, the sniper, had already discovered the arrival of the ship group early. But in addition, Blackbeard also asked the evil king with the island fruit ability to change the terrain of the coast into a cliff in advance. In this way, those pirate ships will not be able to land. As for other people, even if they want to board the coast, it is very difficult. Of course, among the Whitebeard pirates, there are also people who can fly, as well as some who are good at climbing and can climb to the coast. But no matter what, the number of people who board Beehive Island will definitely be greatly reduced. Such a situation will definitely give the Blackbeard pirates the upper hand. Whitebeard, come on, let this be your burial place. Blackbeard's face was ferocious, at the same time. In front of the cliff coast, Marco, the captain of the first squadron, had turned into a phoenix and quickly flew around the island. Sure enough, not only the coast in front of them and nearby, but also the coast of the entire Beehive Island formed cliffs. Upon learning this, Ace and others' expressions suddenly darkened. Damn it, Blackbeard must have done it. I heard that this guy hunts people with abilities everywhere, and maybe he has the ability to transform the island. Now it's troublesome. This cliff will block at least half of us. Even setting up a ladder and pulling a rope probably won't work. There are many pirates guarding it, probably Blackbeard's men. Everyone started analyzing it one after another. Finally, Marco once again gave bad news. That is, not only has the entire coast of Beehive Island been transformed into a cliff. There are still many pirates stationed above. In this way, even if they want to use some tools to climb the cliff, they probably won't be able to. Unless they can fly directly like Marco. Of course, flying is not completely safe. After all, Blackbeard and others can also attack targets in the air. In this way, the possibility of them being able to cross the cliff is even lower. When they realized this, everyone was naturally dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, he came towards me with great force and was blocked immediately. However, the leader, Whitebeard, curled up his lips after learning all the situation. He looked at the center of the island, and seemed to see the Blackbeard laughing proudly through the endless distance. Teach, if you think you can stop us like this, you are underestimating Lousy. With a murmur, Whitebeard suddenly started shouting. Everyone, listen, I will send everyone in without missing a beat. Sit tight and get ready to fight and destroy the Blackbeard pirates. Hearing this, Marco, Ace and others immediately hummed. The pirate group under its banner also has doubts. In this situation, how can Whitebeard bring all of them to Beehive Island? This answer will be revealed in the next second. Whitebeard pushed Kong Yunky in his hand to the ground. Then a white halo appeared in his hands, and he struck hard to the left and right. Boom! There was a loud bang of a real two-fish basket. In an instant, the atmosphere shook, and the space seemed to collapse, with a large number of cracks appearing. This scene is very similar to the attack on Marinefondo. Seeing this, Marco, Ace and others were all refreshed and looked surprised. And the other side. Inside Beehive Island, the loud noise also spread throughout the island. Blackbeard's laughter froze and he asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" But soon, his eyes widened with shock. Around him, Van Oka, Badgers, the King of Evil and others also showed extremely shocked expressions. Oh my god, real or false, isn't this too exaggerated? See it from their perspective. I saw that outside the towering coast, it was originally in midair and only the sky could be seen. But now, a light blue color has replaced the white sky. That's seawater, that is water higher than the cliff. Turn out to be. Just like when he attacked Malinfondo, Whitebeard activated his earthquake ability and formed a tsunami. But this time, under his deliberate control, the tsunami suddenly carried all the surrounding ships and rushed towards Beehive Island. Under the influence of tsunamis one after another, their ships, accompanied by the seawater, suddenly entered the Beehive Island. This moment, the Whitebeard pirates have invaded Beehive Island. The Moby DK was still in midair and the Whitebeard on the bow suddenly moved again. It was different from the battle at the top. During the battle at the top, Whitebeard watched the battle for a while before actually taking action. But this time, after arriving at Beehive Island, he couldn't wait to take action. This shows how much Whitebeard hates Blackbeard. When he came here, he didn't want to waste even a second. Ever since, the next moment, the faces of Blackbeard and others suddenly showed a look of fear. Chapter 263. A blow to Bakushima, a confrontation between black and white. Rumble. Countless acres of seawater crossed the cliff coast dozens of meters high and poured into Beehive Island. Under the tsunami, the pirates arranged by Blackbeard on the coast were instantly overturned and their entire army was wiped out. A large number of ships, driving the seawater, speeded into the island. The Moby DK of the Whitebeard pirates leads the way. The Whitebeard above couldn't wait to jump out and take action first. Teach, Lousy is here. Where are you, Whitebeard roared angrily, and a large amount of red lightning suddenly poured out from his body. An incomparable terrifying momentum swept across. Whitebeard held the supremely fast knife Kong Yunki with both hands. Not only did a white circle rise on the sharp blade, but it was also glowing with a deep black color. Immediately afterwards, the red lightning around Whitebeard suddenly converged and merged into the blade. Almost at the same time, the domineering color of his knowledge captured a certain familiar aura. At this moment, Whitebeard suddenly looked towards the center of Beehive Island, his eyes sharp. Gu la la la, I found you, teach. The Kongyunch in Whitebeard's hand suddenly swung out in that direction. In an instant, an earth-shattering scene appeared. As the clouds fell, an extremely fierce shockwave erupted like a tsunami of another level. Boom! There was another loud noise. Wherever the shockwave passed, the air trembled, the earth cracked, and countless buildings were reduced to ashes. This impact directly spread to half of the island and rushed towards the center of the island. Bang! Before Blackbeard and the others could react, the residence immediately exploded. A large number of members of the Blackbeard pirates were swept away and flew out with the shock wave. Ah! Wow! The screams rose and fell one after another. But the worst thing is Blackbeard. The double pain made him almost go crazy. Whitebeard's angry attack was no joke. Looking at Beehive Island at this time, surprisingly 1/3 of it has been reduced to ruins. It is no exaggeration to say that the island was destroyed with one blow. Whitebeard! Damn! Curses followed. Badgers, Daju and others emerged from the ruins in disgrace. Although Whitebeard's attack was shocking, its power was somewhat dispersed because the attack range was too large. Therefore, most of the members of the Blackbeard pirates survived, but they inevitably became very embarrassed. Among them, the evil king wiped his sweat with some fear. That guy with white beard is still so scary. Fortunately, he didn't activate his ability to merge with the island just now, otherwise, he would have withstood this blow firmly. At that time, even if you don't die, you will be severely injured. At this moment, Blackbeard's angry curses suddenly sounded. A hole, go to hell, Momo, 100 times the gun. Although Blackbeard was in extreme pain, he only suffered a slight injury. At the critical moment, he actually activated his dark fruit ability and absorbed part of the shockwave. It could have been absorbed completely, but the power and speed of the shockwave were too strong. Seeing that his station and his companions were in this state, Blackbeard was naturally furious. He suddenly took out a musket and fired it at Whitebeard in midair. Under his Momo fruit ability, seemingly tiny bullets suddenly turned into super cannonballs and blasted towards Whitebeard. But at this moment, a pillar of fire suddenly erupted in midair. Ace couldn't help but take action. Flames erupted from his feet, and the figure suddenly rushed in front of Whitebeard. Facing the flying super cannonballs, his eyes narrowed and his fist suddenly exploded out. Fire Fist. A huge flaming fist swept out with a bang and collided with the super bomb. Boom. The next second, there was another loud noise in the air. A huge explosion swept and spread. Whitebeard and Ace landed safely. Immediately afterwards, the momentum of the tsunami also subsided. The Whitebeard pirates' ship, as well as the ships of many of its pirate groups, all landed with the seawater. Bang! At this moment, another gunshot was heard from the Blackbeard camp. Whitebeard glanced and immediately realized that it was Van Oka of the Blackbeard pirates who had taken action. As soon as he took action, he fired armed domineering bullets from the far end. But when Whitebeard saw this, he did not resist, let alone dodge. At the critical moment, a huge and sturdy figure stood in front of Whitebeard. Clang! The armed colored bullet was shot at the figure and was immediately bounced out. The figure's chest revealed traces of diamonds, without a doubt, none other than Diamond Josie. Oh, it was blocked. Van Oka raised his eyebrows. At this moment, Whitebeard's voice spread. Boys, take down the Blackbeard pirates and kill this traitor. Following Whitebeard's order, countless pirates jumped from the ship and killed Blackbeard and the others. At the same time, but the next second, something happened that made Ace's face change slightly. Ace sensed this, immediately froze his steps, turned around and punched out. He punched out and felt a huge force, and then he involuntarily took 7 or 8 steps back. Ace knocked away dozens of pirates around him, leaving a trail of flames behind, and killed Blackbeard with a clear target. Ace's face hardened. The next moment, they moved at the same time. Whitebeard had a gloomy look on his face. Marco versus Lafitte. Diamond Josie went on a rampage and was quickly stopped by Daju. After he defeated Ace, he spoke triumphantly and even raised his arms, revealing his exaggerated muscles that were about to explode. The power that burst out in that moment actually blasted away the flames, forcing it towards Ace's face. Other captains also encountered strong enemies one after another. A smile gradually appeared on Blackbeard's face. Dad, we meet again. Lafitte versus Xuanyue Hunter. The two captains, Whitebeard and Blackbeard, did not take action for the time being, but looked at each other tit for tat across the fiercely fighting crowd. As for Van Oka, he didn't bother to snipe Whitebeard because the snipers of the Whitebeard pirates were also targeting him. What? It is impossible for ordinary pirates to successfully attack him. Don't underestimate me, I am different now from before. I ate the lily fruit and became a lily man. But at this moment, a figure rushed from the side and punched Ace. Boom. Teach, take your life. The huge battleship is handled by Little Oz. The two pirate groups suddenly started fighting fiercely. The war has completely begun. Why ha ha ha, Ace, let me be your opponent. Ace was startled, and when he took a closer look, a giant man wearing a fighting championship belt suddenly appeared in his sight. Ace's figure turned into a flaming man and rushed ahead. There is no doubt that this giant man is Blackbeard's #1 general, Badgers. Under Badgers' entanglement, Ace was unable to make a move for a while. Suddenly, a ball of flame exploded. The moment the fist blasted out, an armed domineering aura arose. But at the same time, the Blackbeard pirates also regrouped and gathered their team to fight. The opponent's power was extraordinary before, and now it seems to have increased several times.